Op Sindoor is an outstanding success, not because of any kinetic thing, but where we have crossed a political Rubicon.
The first night itself, the S-400 had created a world record of sorts by hitting the aircraft at 314 kilometers.
एक बंदा बोल रहा है पाकिस्तान में एयरफोर्स स्टेशन पर अटैक हो रहा है, ठीक है, भीड़ इकट्ठी है, कहते सवेरे नमाज पढ़ने के लिए तो कोई उठ के नहीं आता है, ये तमाशा देखने सारे पहुंचे हुए हैं.
So the guys who did Baisaran are trained commandos who did it.
Yes, जो आपका लोकल मिलिटेंट है वो गोली मार के भागता है. Here is a man who comes, walks into the center of the road, both Riasi and both Patri, with total confidence and ease, aims at the driver, fires. Not a single round on the body of the wing.
Who are basic weapon suppliers of the Indian military forces? One is Russia and other is Israel.
Israel also, yes.
So these two people are caught in their own wars. You will not get supplies. Everything is not hunky-dory.
I would say that their satellite coverage, the Chinese and the feed which the Pakistanis were getting was much better.
Iran attack was already planned, and unfortunately for them, this happened. Now this is the time when they arm wrestle. कि अगर तुमको बेस चाहिए तो हमको वो दो, नहीं तो हम सीज फायर के लिए भी एग्री नहीं करेंगे.
NATO has its Link 16. China has its XS3. They have a satellite constellation of giving real-time updates. Do we have such capabilities?
We have asked Rafale for the source code so that we can integrate our BrahMos onto it. And seemingly France has refused. What did the Americans say? If you buy the S-400, you can't have F-35. These are all platforms which are not supposed to act in isolation. They're all supposed to act in concert. The evidence points to that there is an issue.
This episode is powered by easemytrip.com. Namaste, Jai Hind. You're watching or listening to another edition of the ANI podcast with Smita Prakash. My guests today are Colonel Hunny Bakshi and Colonel Pavithran Rajan. I'm joined in this podcast by my colleagues Ishan Prakash and Ajit Dubey. Colonel Pavithran is a military veteran, tech entrepreneur and academic. Colonel Hunny Bakshi is a military intelligence officer with a vast experience in the northeast of India. If you want to go into greater depth about the services these two gentlemen officers have rendered for the country, you can watch these episodes of the podcast. For Colonel Hunny Bakshi, watch episode 18 and episode 106. For Colonel Pavithran Rajan, watch episode 66, 113, 225 and 237. In this episode, we'll delve into some fundamental questions on Operation Sindoor. Were the fundamental objectives of Operation met? What was the fallout? The two nuclear nations in a 108-hour conflict which almost became a war. Who came out victorious? Was it just two enemy nations or was India fighting three adversaries? And now what? Thank you, gentlemen, for coming on the podcast again. Colonel Hunny Bakshi, I've already introduced both of you. Colonel Pavithran, of course, हम हमारे स्टूडियो में ना हम इन ऐसे लोगों को बोलते हैं RPG, repeat performance guest. So he's our RPG.
I introduced him to Ajit और आपने उसको मेरे से ज़्यादा बार बुलाया.
ज़्यादा बार बुलाया.
He's come for the 5th time and I'm being called for the 3rd time.
Colonel Sahab, actually what Colonel Pavithran tells us is so complex कि वो एक बार बोलते हैं उसके बाद हमको it takes us time to filter and say अरे ये पूछना चाहिए.
Seriously?
So वो एक बार आपके साथ तो बड़ी simple.
No, but with him it
analog warfare, digital warfare.
No, but with him it took me 5 minutes. I knew what exactly he's doing and it said okay, money given.
But
कितनी
sir,
देर लगती है?
That's true. We discussed this.
तो आप
you gave him the money without understanding what he was doing.
No, I understood what he was doing, but I couldn't understand that architecture of it.
इधर हम इडली देके बुलवाते हैं.
मेरे को अच्छा मल्लू है इसलिए.
नहीं आपके लिए भी तो इडली रखी हुई है.
नहीं मैं ढोकले पे ठीक हूँ.
Okay, so I just explained in the introduction, so I'm going to just leave it to Ishan and to Ajit to take forward this. I'm just going to be concentrating on my idlis while you guys do the talking. So, let's begin with the fundamental questions regarding Operation Sindoor. So many podcasts have been done, so many shows have been done, but I want you both to explain some basics to me and I will cede the floor to Ajit and Ishan.
Ajit and I will obviously aid you, but this is still your show. We have not hijacked your show. Okay. So,
and I'll continue to be a good listener during the show.
ये तो comment आते हैं फिर.
So, the reason for this podcast that Ajit and I were talking, and then we said that let's go ahead and get a long form podcast going on Operation Sindoor, and also essentially this India-Pakistan war that happened, the before, the present, the conflict that happened, and the after, the takeaways. We wanted to do a more zoomed out sort of 360 view of all that happened. Right now, all the analysis that we've seen are sectoral. Someone will talk about this kind of warfare, the foreign policy fallout, the local domestic policy intelligence fallout, all of that they do. We want to combine all of it. And what we also did as a lead up to this podcast is we went through our archives, our video archives of the time, and we went through all our reporting that we did. So when Pahalgam happened, immediately after that, we had deployed all our reporters from Leh to Sir Creek, because we did expect some action that India will do. So we had this treasure trove of information that we had already sort of gotten in the lead up, and then eventually when action did happen, we had some tremendous visuals that we did put out. But in the course of all that happened, some of those visuals have been forgotten. Some of the tweets, some of the foreign policy sort of going-ons that happened in those 96 hours, because of its quick pace, have probably been forgotten, have been glossed over. So we want to revisit those. And now that we have 2 months, we have benefit of 2 months now, since, or 2 odd months since the action happened. Maybe now we can have a more sort of nuanced look at everything that happened. So that's why we decided to have this podcast and have both you gentlemen over here to hash it out with us. So this is the fundamental thought behind this podcast. So to kick things off, Pahalgam happened on April 22nd. But before Pahalgam, Asim Munir made that fateful speech on 16th of April, where he said that Kashmir was their jugular vein. So alarm bells rose right there and then. But even before 16th April, on
Not just jugular vein.
he said way more. I'm
Yeah.
condensing what he said. On February 5th, on so-called Kashmir Solidarity Day in Pakistan, I'm quoting the BBC article over here who have quoted General Munir. General Munir made another speech earlier in the year, which is February 5th, 2025, which some think may signal he's adopting a harder line than his predecessor. Speaking in Muzaffarabad on Kashmir Solidarity Day on 5th February, he declared Pakistan has already fought 3 wars for Kashmir, and if 10 more wars are required, Pakistan will fight them. Signal was there. Now, I'll turn to you, Hunny sir. You have operated in the region. You've operated a counter-terror clandestine unit over there. When the enemy has made his intentions clear, what's the first thing that goes to your mind when you read something like this or hear something like this?
See, issue is, it's all about assessments. Intelligence, you will get lot of things. Your assessment goes wrong, you are on the wrong way. Simple. Largely people would have thought this statement to be rhetoric. And that's where we went wrong. He was conveying it. He had his men inside. I think I was the first guy to say that SSG guys are operating. If you recollect, 24.
Yes.
After the Riyasi attack, 23rd, I think the attack happened. And 24th, I was the first guy to quote. And believe me, I got a call from one of my intel guys in the organization at a senior position कि sir, आप ये क्या बोल रहे हो? What evidence do you have? And I said, only the evidence I don't have, but I have the experience to understand the way they have clinically done that operation.
So you're talking about the Pahalgam attackers?
No, I'm talking about the
Riyasi attack.
I'm
The
talking about the
Riyasi attack.
Riyasi.
Okay.
It's the same
Which
guys.
happened in 2023-24.
24 में जो हुआ
And
था.
you're saying remnants of those people were still operating in the valley?
Till last they have been operating. I have been saying that. In fact, the army chief on your podcast has come and said that they have killed SSG guy. You have to understand a few more things. कश्मीर में अब फाइटिंग क्लास वाला मिलिटेंट कम हो गया. And Pakistan has realized कि the kind of show that they want to make out of Kashmir is not coming out of the Kashmiris anymore. It's a fact. You have to accept it. So the ground supporter system is there. Now they are sending in pure military guys. In fact, I want to show it on the map how they have conducted the whole thing. It's there in the thing. Can you put that 3 map slides that I had requested?
Yeah.
And I'll
You want to get up?
I don't want to get up and just.
Okay.
So this is a standard Google map that
It's a
you're
standard
using.
Google map.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
It's-
And just Colonel Sir, before you start, I just want to tell the audience again. Right now, we are at between February 5th to April 16th timeline of this year. Before the attack has happened, you are now giving us an assessment based on this map. Hanji.
Okay. For the understanding of the people, this is South Kashmir. Srinagar, Gulmarg, Surankot, Punch, Rajouri. Your Balakot is across this side, right? Riasi, Ramban, Kishtwar. There is, you see these white portions? So basically this is Banial, the famous Banial Pass. This side is the Pir Panjal ranges and this side is the Great Himalayan ranges. Yeah. These ranges further go up and then join your Zuzila Pass. Okay. Now it so happens that your 2 core zones are basically inside this and the second zone is south of.
Yeah.
So this becomes a fracture line.
Ah.
Now you look at the pattern. They carry out an attack in Riasi. They carry out an attack in Kathua. Channel area again. It's a little Katra is this side, lower. Okay. Then he moves up to Gulmarg. Between Punch, this side is your Punch, okay? Punch to Gulmarg you can do in 1 night walk.
From south of Pir Panjal to
Gulmarg. I've done it. Though there are patrols that happen, whatever the domination takes place. But I have done it. Punch to Gulmarg 1 night. Okay. So they carry out an attack in Gulmarg, Botapatri, if you recollect. He first hits in Riasi, then goes to Gulmarg.
Sir, your date, this is a time 23, 24?
24.
This is 24, comes back 25, Kathua. They are trying to create an illusion that a lot of things are happening here. Now, can you get to the next slide, please? Okay. So then, when they move from Gulmarg, come down to Kishtwar.
Kishtwar. Okay.
Yes.
Kishtwar, you move little up, there's a place called Navapachi. From Navapachi, there is this valley, which is called the Wadwan Valley. I've operated in this also, though it falls under the other core zone. There are about 40 kilometers का ये total वो है. They realized that if they have to carry out an attack like that in Pahalgam, they cannot let the people of these villages get alerted that there's a movement.
Hence?
Hence, if you see this is snowbound, why was Maxar images of Pahalgam required? For the month of May, they wanted the area where there are small पगडंडियों वाले रास्ते हैं, गुज्जर बकरवाल वाले रास्ते हैं.
Sir, Maxar images wanted from whom?
no you are talking.
Pakis wanted Maxar
Pakistan
images.
I just want him to
The
say that.
Pahalgam wali.
Yeah.
Now these guys are on satellite phones. They've got a Chinese phone called Ultra. So it's working like a GPS. He doesn't need a local guide to cross over.
So when they asked for those images,
Yeah.
it should have alerted India that they're asking for these images. Or
How
somebody,
would
how
you-
do we know?
It's a private
that they've
company,
asked?
वो
It's a
बताएंगे
private
थोड़ी.
company.
नहीं बताएंगे ना, but बाद में अब निकल के आ रहा है.
Okay.
So when initially when I was saying that people they've come from Wadwan, nobody like there were questions. यार क्या बात कर रहे हो? There was assessment नहीं क्यों इस तरह ऊपर तराल में ऑपरेट कर रहे थे ये लोग वहाँ से आए हैं.
Okay.
Now things are coming very clear. There was no single Indian Kashmiri with those guys. They were a pure Pakistani SSG charge. NIA ने अभी 2 बंदे फाइनली पकड़े हैं. Who were the Bakarwals?
Overground workers type.
Overground workers जिनके पास वो आके रहे. But basically पहले क्या होता था कि जो ये
We're
बाहर
talking
से थे.
now about the Pahalgam
Pahalgam
attack.
thing.
Okay.
Now if you look at it, why I'm saying, this is Inshan. Okay, you come up, there are 2 villages called Recounts and Sukhnai and a village called Gumri. This is Baisran.
Where the Pahalgam attack happened.
Yes.
Okay,
Huh.
you take a straight line.
How much time?
6 months.
As the crow flies, how far is it?
As a crow flies, पे मत देखो.
Walking
In the
देखना ना.
hills, it's a different thing.
Yeah.
Okay. From Sukhnai to this place, 6 hours. What time did they strike? 1 o'clock.
So they walked from there, you're saying?
So they had their... Now this part is a little assessment because two guys that have been... Next slide please. So those two guys have been picked up from a behek here called grazing ground basically, called Hill Park. Udhar ek hotel hai. Where is Baisaran? Here. There is the road here. Okay. These guys, they came, they had recce'd all the 5 tourist spots. They were waiting for a particular group, which we discussed, and then I had to withdraw my tweet. They waited for a particular group. कहाँ जाएंगे? और जहाँ 25 घोड़े मांगे गए, they exactly knew, and that's where we stood. So now coming back to the first slide again, so you have to understand, it's very easy to say intel failure. I'm an intelligence. These guys have not travelled in the valley because they do not speak Kashmiri. They speak a language which is very close to Gojri, which is called Patwari. Okay. Like in Punjabi we say Urea. In Patwari they say Ithya. The difference. And that Ithya is a mix in Dogri, Gojri, that language. So they are comfortable with people, and if somebody checks them with a fake ID card, they're comfortable, they can cross across. They
So those
do not
ghoda
like
walas
that.
and all will know immediately कि ये कुछ और language बोल रहे हैं, कहीं और से बोल रहे हैं.
घोड़े वाले को तो लगेगा मेरी ही लैंग्वेज बोल रहे हैं, पर कश्मीर की वैली फ्लोर में अगर
Will
घूमेगा
know
और
that.
कहीं चेकिंग में आ गया, वो पकड़ में आ जाएगा.
So the khabris who are the intel guys who inform would have picked that up, right?
They would have picked up easily.
They would have picked
If there is somebody traveling who does not look like a Kashmiri, there's a total difference of facial features, body features between the valley floor and this floor. Now, they come from a terrain which is akin to this place, Pakistan.
Be okay.
Okay, so it was easy for them. And they are commandos here. They are SSG guys. For them to traverse here, and they've taken their own sweet time. Their pattern has been generally 3 to 5 months, striking one place to the other. They are just not going on a wild spree. So they sit, observe, carry out. अब इस एरियाज के अंदर इंटेल नेटवर्क्स बनाना और वो भी कम्युनिकेशन सेट करना इज अ बिग प्रॉब्लम. दिस आर थिक फॉरेस्टेड एरियाज, हाई पीक्स एज इन हाई पीक्स. आपकी सांस उखड़ जाए अच्छों की.
This I'm going to come to you, Colonel Pavithran. That in this day and age in 2025, I'm going to come to you after he finishes. Why should forest? I've asked this with the other guests who come also. When we have so much of satellite imagery and all, why is forest something that stops us from getting images? Anyway, let's finish with this.
My point of issue is
Right.
that two things did come out. One was an intel failure, not denying it. Human int, somewhere we are losing it.
Okay.
Because there is a over dependence on tech int now.
Huh.
But the areas where your tech doesn't work, you need
Human.
Okay. Secondly, this is a fracture line, we call it. This area does not go into this area. This area does not go into this area. Whatever goes, maybe small teams sometimes. So there's not a permanent fixture of a deployment. That's, I guess so. So probably that is the advantage that they're taking, and that is why they're traversing in this basic belt. यहाँ थोड़ा सा जहाँ पे main road है रामबन के आसपास, वहाँ deployments are very strong, not denying it. So this needs to be actually addressed.
The fracture points.
The fracture points,
Okay.
the fracture lines rather.
Right.
Because there are two different operating bodies operating. They do not need any more of your normal phones now, GSM phones. They are on satellite phones. Secondly,
which is preventing the tech int.
So we don't know tower की जरूरत नहीं है. Basically
तो
earlier
tower की
the
जरूरत नहीं है.
towers.
दूसरा,
हाँ.
ये spoof करते हैं. Your mobile phone or your satellite phones, they can very easily be spoofed. So he's sitting at point A, but he has already done his homework. If I don't know if they intercept or not, but they take precautions, because I had a source once when I was operating, whom I called, and he made a call across, and he said, "Sir, मैं आता हूँ." He went 10 kilometers away and came back. I made him sit, पैसा थोड़ा सा फेंका, मैंने कहा करके क्या है बता.
थुराया
बोला
उसने
सर वो लोकेशन वहाँ की दे के आया हूँ, नहीं तो मैं ट्रैक हो जाऊँगा. So spoofing is a normal business. It's a normal business in the intel world now. Counter electronic measures, as we call it. There is a difficulty. People may say it's actually a little difficult right now.
Okay. So now they've already attacked. Now where have they gone after doing this? After
attacking, they're back into this area. They just have to cross over into Wadwan and into Kishtwar. Abhi lately Kishtwar mein chal raha hai encounter last 2-3 din se.
Why didn't they just go across?
They will not
and
go
leave?
into where? Go across.
Go across to POK.
Why should they? He's comfortable here.
He'll be caught and killed.
Sir, you're saying
He's come for a purpose.
Yeah,
he
yeah.
knows he's going to die. There is a difference. You have to understand wo
Aja, come to die. What a point.
motivation level.
so. The takeaway from this also is that the enemy over here, the terrorists, they are very comfortable with the entire terrain. That their exit plan was already in place.
There is no exit plan.
No,
No,
the
but
exit
there is
plan.
no
Exit plan from Baisaran Ghati.
from
Baisaran
Baisaran
Ghati.
Ghati,
their exit plan was already
Their
there.
exit plan from
Oh,
Baisaran.
yes. I'll tell you, way back 2006, a source told us that there are some terrorists across the Pir. Actually क्या होता है ना, पहाड़ी का बताने का तरीका बड़ा टिपिकल होता है. सर उथे पहाड़ दे मिलिटेंट बैठे. अब you do not understand his distance measurement by उथे.
Yeah.
वो उथे करते हुए he took us across the Pir Panjal into south of Pir Panjal. And we picked up a guy. He was an ex-Havaldar of the Pakistan army. He's still in the central jail, by the way. We didn't kill him. All the way he kept saying, yahi maar do saab, aage bhi to le jaake marna hai. We didn't kill him. We were very clear that time. There was he has to be showcased. That there is a Pakistani NCO. So 2004 there were people coming in who were ex-Pakistani soldiers. Now the change is they are commandos. Ex hai, nahi hai, wo semantics hai. But he is a trained SSG commando.
So the guys who did Baisaran are trained commandos who did it.
Yes. Riasi trained बोट पथरी पे आप देखिए कमांडो का कॉन्फिडेंस लेवल. मैंने मिलिटेंसी बहुत देख ली है और मैंने सब जगह की देखी है. जो आपका लोकल मिलिटेंट है वो गोली मार के भागता है. वो जब गोली के लिए बैठा होता है उसका पहला रिएक्शन होता है कि मैं ट्रिगर दबाऊं और भाग जाऊं. Here is a man who walks into the center of the road, both Riasi and Bot Patri, with total confidence and ease, aims at the driver, fires. Not a single round on the body of the vehicle. His firmness of his grip.
Disciplined. Military
Disciplined.
training. Yeah.
Center standing. He just got an ishara from the scout that गाड़ी वहां से turn मार गई है इस bend की तरफ. And he hits precisely. जो थोड़ा सा जिटर वाला होगा ना उसकी गोलियां फैलेंगी. उसकी गोलियां फैलेंगी.
So even the civilians whom they attacked at that place was straight up
Yeah, execution style.
execution style.
They,
Straight on the between
so you
the
see,
eyes.
This guy. Now, when we are talking about the exit plan, see, they have an exit plan, but he's there. He knows if he has to do a standoff, he will do it and die. That is the difference of motivation.
So, you have laid out essentially what the you have laid out the kind of training and that these were professionals of the Pakistani army.
Yes.
Ex or present, doesn't matter. Now, this is what happened. I am going back to Asim Munir's threat on Feb 5th and then on April 16th, very clearly on a televised speech, says that Kashmir is a jugular vein. He's made his intentions very clear. What do you make of it now?
Okay, so I've been fascinated and, by seeing how Colonel Hunny Bakshi is, plumed out slightly and given you a picture, an intelligence picture. And that's about 30 years of, knowledge. And not only knowledge, he's an exceptional intelligencer. That I'll visit later. But let me zoom out slightly more, okay, to show you the bigger picture. What is the first thing which happened a few more months, if you look back, to our eastern border, okay, Bangladesh. There was a orchestrated a color revolution which has not been recognized as such, and Sheikh Hasina has been removed. Okay, what did Sheikh Hasina say? The US asked me for an island. They
a
wanted to create a
base.
Christian state. Okay? And since I refused, I've been removed. Correct? Think about it. There is a US dollar which is facing pressure. People are saying it's a changing world order. Okay? They're also saying that build back better. So to build back a world order again, you have to demolish what is already existing. Okay? And what is a large picture? India, the Himalayas, Pakistan, one of the hottest flashpoints in the globe. You look at all the flashpoints in the globe which has already been lit alight. I'll give you with a lot of prediction. Next decade, you will have things happening on both sides of India, the eastern border as well as the western border. Okay? And what is the fight all happening? There is China who's built the BRI. There is a CPEC. Okay? Already up with Balochistan. They've also built through Myanmar.
Yes.
Okay? To bypass the Malacca Strait.
Yes.
So that is the reason why our east is going to get activated. So that's a larger fight. These are small tactical actions. I hope what I'm saying, does it make sense?
No, it puts things into into perspective of the geopolitical scenario as on date.
Yes. And what is driving all these small things? So let me take you back in time when you zoom out. Where did this whole thing flare up, the Kashmiri struggle? It flared up because of the Afghan war with the Soviet Union, erstwhile Soviet Union. Okay? So when you look at it, you have to see the big picture. These are small, tactical, small things which we are getting argued on. If you don't see the big picture,
You're doomed to
yeah.
No, but we have to get to this because it almost went into a nuclear flashpoint. If you see, those 108 hours were extremely crucial, where we are even attacking Noor Khan. So we are talking about Noor Khan Airbase being attacked, Chaklala being attacked. So did India miss the signs when General Munir was saying this, is what Ishan is pointing out, that when he says this in February, should we have had more intel working in Kashmir, knowing that this is where is our Achilles heel, these soft targets in Kashmir? Should we have known that Asim Munir is planning something?
We should also ask Ajit about this, because Ajit covers national defense for ANI. He talks to everyone in the national security apparatus. When this was happening, Ajit, did you hear any murmurs that now they are going to focus more on Kashmir since the enemy has already laid out its plan?
Actually, if we talk about this, if we talk about the speech given by Munir, where he talked about two-nation theory, Hindu, Muslim and all, there were murmurs that ये कुछ बड़ा करने की सोच रहा है, लेकिन but there was no thing कि like as journalists we get the pulse. Like there was no people were talking about it, but I didn't see that anybody was thinking that there will be a major attack of this magnitude and it will be implemented so early and
so clinically,
so immediately after his speech. And moreover, in last few years, if you see how the security apparatus has been working, the thinking of the security establishment has been more of China centric. Like, because if we see what happened in Galwan post 2020, the focus is more towards northern borders, and this was considered कि ये तो छोट-पोट terrorism छोटा मोटा चलेगा, ये तो if you think of the stories which were coming about Pakistan army in last couple of years, most of them were कि इनकी तेल भी नहीं है, पानी भी नहीं है, ये कैसे
internal turmoil ज़्यादा है.
They are facing internal turmoil. And there was also a talk that we are not focusing on Pakistan anymore, and they are worried about their own existence and Balochistan, and there were all terror attacks happening inside their country, so they are more focused on their internal issues rather than ours. But if you look at it entirely, then
we dropped the best
ball. The best way Munir, the best recipe for resurrecting Pakistan army
so it was
within the country has been served by Munir. So he has been successful.
May I also just...
Yes, of course.
There is a great battle between Sugriv and Bali, Ramayana. And
Bali was inside a cave.
One of the
Sugriv had put a
one of the
thing.
crucial things is the first battle. Bali defeated Sugriv,
Yes.
and Sugriv went running to Lord Ram, and he says, "Why didn't you rescue?" He says, "I couldn't discern between both of you." He sent him with a garland.
With the mala pena, yes.
Okay, so why is Pakistan for the last decade gone totally silent, and suddenly comes back with a mala? Okay, think about it. What suddenly, I'm giving you a picture because I know when the Trump presidency came, what was our establishment? Now Trump has come and it's our time. It's not happened. There is Sugriv come with a mala. Have you thought of why he suddenly is come when he is so weak?
So
And the narrative. See,
ठीक है, I mean, you're bringing in Ramayana and we have this non-believer, non-idol worshipper of Asim Munir. I don't want to think of him as Sugriv at all, nor do I want to think that anything
Trump
in
is
this
Ram.
area
But sir is saying that
it's
I
just a
get what
very
I mean.
nice.
मतलब
Metaphor is a little stretched.
उसके आकाओं ने basically उसको go ahead दिया था.
so
that
who
he
is
was-
given the... See, the point is simple. There is C who mobilized the army. After mobilizing the army, but he took back. It's still not de-escalated. Okay. There is US, which has got an aim over there. He is just pursuing his aim, which is not to our comfort, where they have replaced Sheikh Hasina. Okay.
No, wait. You've given the big picture, and you're talking about a deep state nexus, which could be a possibility. I agree with you that is a possibility. We're living in times we have to think about that. But here, you've just had a very senior Indian military officer who said that India was literally fighting a three-front war. You had China, Pakistan, and Turkey. There's no mention of the US. There's nothing of that sort. But
No,
here,
if you hear his speech, ma'am, General
On-
Rahul Singh,
Yeah.
he started by saying 4, but then he came back to 3.
3. हाँ, अभी
He
हमको
didn't
engine
name
चाहिए.
he didn't
तेजस
name
का
the-
सवाल है.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what he actually said, which was that we were fighting and it was like a lab for Chinese equipment and for Turkish equipment, and India and Pakistan was just basically lado. We want to see whether our
So let me take this on.
things work or not.
Okay. So it was yesterday I came to know that we have to talk about Sindoor. I'm telling you very frankly. So I was, but we both were having a drink and we had certain other
I was
regimental.
drinking water.
Yes, we had certain other regimental this, so
Idli
I
oily.
couldn't devote time to this. Okay?
That's okay.
But I just Googled out to prepare. Oh, Sindoor. Now what else? It has been, discussed threadbare. What else can I? So I noticed there is something called an annual joint exercise Spears of Victory. Okay, which is conducted in Saudi Arabia, where the JF-17. It is the newspaper article says they have acted against French Rafales there, and they had an idea of how to the signatures, electronic. You understood the point.
Yeah.
So that's one. Then have you noticed that in the news? I got it from the news. Beidou enabled ground stations have come up in Pakistan. That means they are the first nation to be given military access to the Beidou signals. What does it show? They integrated to China. So why should we suddenly get surprised when it is in the news? Okay, it is in the news a couple of years back. So any front activation will be like that. If you hand over the communication and they've integrated themselves, China has to come.
Yeah, and just to extrapolate, when you say the Beidou satellite system, this is a satellite constellation. That means Pakistan has access to real-time satellite imagery, a capability that India still does not have.
No,
with our-
and also to remember from General Rahul Singh's speech that day at the FICCI conference is that he said that the Pakistani DGMOs were even telling, the DGMO was even telling us that you are doing this and this. Don't do this.
As in they had real-time
They had
intel,
real-time intel.
which could be
and
Chinese
what
only.
I have heard, what
This
I have
was
been,
48 hours after the conflict you're
No,
talking
no,
about.
this
Because
is during
DGMOs
the-
were not talking.
This is during the conflict.
This is during
DGMOs were not talking.
Ma'am,
Yes, they were.
DGMOs started talking right after we had carried out the attack.
They walked out is what we are hearing when we told them.
But we told them that we have done this against
terror
terrorist
camps.
targets. So we were talking. And during the conflict also, what I have been hearing, what I have come to know is that we were talking and they were telling us that कि तुम्हारा ये यहाँ पे है, ये asset यहाँ है, ये asset यहाँ है. It means they were getting direct real time feed from.
Actually, that doesn't matter in the sense that, okay, fine, they got to know, they know हमारे assets कहाँ पे हैं. That doesn't take away from the fact that India probably knows where their assets were. The fact that we have done so much of precision bombing, isn't it that we also knew where their assets are?
I think what I would, to this point, I would say that their satellite coverage, the Chinese and the feed which the Pakistanis were getting was much better than what we
Were
have.
we flying blind?
Okay, so let's give you another perspective.
We weren't even flying. We were sending. This is a new kind of warfare now.
The Pakistani defense budget is 10 billion. Ours is around between 70 to 80 plus billion. Okay? We are a much larger economy. They are not a peer power. But still, you look at how they have been able to leverage this. Why was Pakistan created? Who created it? You have to go back into history.
I don't want you to. You're going back to Ramayana and Mahabharata.
No,
Don't.
only then will you understand
Just
this.
get now.
I want to now zoom back in. So the attack happens on April 22nd. I'm not going to go into the details of the attack. Enough has been said about it. Everyone knows about it. But I want to play one soundbite. This child, he lost his father in the terror attack. And he actually, very brave child, recounted exactly what he saw. And it was corroborated by others as well. But I thought we should hear this child before we go on.
And
further.
also, just before you play this, I just want to bring in this caveat that, we debated a lot कि ये बच्चे को चलाएं कि नहीं चलाएं, because it's really to run a child speaking about this, speaking about a loss which has happened. Is this war propaganda? Is this shouldn't we? So they
Tell me
all
one thing.
through.
When we lost one of the officer and his daughter came and she saluted and she said, Jai Hind, hobe ko na hobe,
Yeah.
the Gorkhali thing that
Yeah.
she had done. So why not this?
Yeah, exactly. So that's what we debated in the sense that
and the nation should understand the pain of this
the
child.
pain.
Absolutely.
I totally get it, and that's why we decided to do it. A lot of social media backfiring by the liberal lobby, it's a so-called liberal lobby, saying कि ये
anyone
नहीं
who's
करना
easily
चाहिए था.
outraged also.
Yeah, so in communication, especially wartime communication, there's a lot of immediate action that has to be taken, immediate decisions that have to be taken. And one of those decisions was this is just what I want to put in perspective. Let's play this.
मतलब एक गोरा सा था, दाढ़ी थी उसकी, ऊपर टोपी पहनी थी, वो मोमेडियन जैसी टोपी होती ना, उसकी ऊपर कैमरा था और वाइट टी शर्ट और ब्लैक जीन्स पहना था, ऊपर जस्ट इसके इधर आगे. हाँ, वो पता नहीं रिकॉर्डिंग कर रहे थे कि नहीं, पर हमें तो दो दिखे थे.
Okay, let me come on to this. A lot of killings have taken place earlier, and these organizations, though they are all Lashkar and but they come up with new names always. Kabhi TRF, kabhi kuch. Every one of them has used cameras, GoPros. They have put them on the
Dark web.
No, it's
Open
available.
web also.
It's available. It's available everywhere. When Captain Brajesh got killed, there are images. There is one image in which one boy is jumping out of the ALS and he's being followed and he's being shot. Then there is one in which the people are crossing a road and गोलियां चल रही हैं और वो जवान उधर. So it's been happening. The question to be debated is that they didn't realize that this will become so big an issue. And for some reason, इसके कहीं पे भी हमने पहलगाम वाला
Yes.
नहीं देखा.
And the reason
हमारे
why I
पास
want
जो
to-
है वो टूरिस्ट्स के जो बनाए हुए वीडियोस हैं
वही first person
first
video है.
videos हैं.
So this is why I wanted to
Why-
bring this
why-
video
why do you
up.
think- why do you think-
Exactly. Why? So
Pakistan
what was
went
the
on a
reason?
back foot. They didn't want the whole thing to get. You see what happens. इसराइल कहाँ उसको लेके 7 अक्टूबर को दिक्कत हो रही है बिकॉज उन्होंने सेंसिटिविटी के चक्कर में बहुत सारे वीडियोस दबा दिए. अभी एक दीना करके नाम से कुछ कमीशन बैठा था विच हैज गॉन टू से दैट कि नहीं दी लिटिल गर्ल्स वर रेप्ड एंड दे वर हैंग्ड एंड शॉट इन ऑल द रॉन्ग प्लेसेस. You see, it changes world opinion. Now here when you are on the brink of it, probably they got the orders from their masters not to do it. But they didn't want the सी नैरेटिव में अभी भी ये चल रहा था, नहीं झूठ बोल रहे हैं, नहीं ये जो करवाया है ये गवर्नमेंट ने इलेक्शन से पहले करवाया है। एक तो हमारी सबसे बड़ी प्रॉब्लम हमारी ऑपोजिशन है, अभी वो काम होता नहीं है उससे पहले वो चालू हो जाते हैं। सो they had an interest for not doing it. When they went in for their Akash, they have done it. But this time they didn't go about it. And it was very well planned that they didn't go about it.
Initial this saying that we did it, which they deleted. Okay?
Yeah.
And it turned the entire world opinion to Indo-Pak this, not a retaliation of India against Pakistan as an aggressor. If they had taken out those GoPros, this, that, etc.
It would have changed the narrative completely.
Yeah.
Can you draw any parallel with 2611? उस टाइम की जो वीडियोस निकले थी, उस टाइम they don't put out the videos. They, of course, there were no cell phone cameras like we had.
Indians
the videos.
shot those videos in 2611.
2611.
This was a Pakistani operative with a GoPro.
Yeah, but it's a good one that you're saying that that what Israel did, when they didn't put out the videos of the.
So they lost the narrative, na?
They lost the narrative.
The entire world now is Palestinian because their narrative is coming. वो तो बच्चा बिठा के अभी कल जैसे चल रहा है कि वो there's a driver in the ambulance and he's thumping and he's giving a resuscitation to a child. वो उसने कैमरा गलती से पीछे घुमा दिया तो वहाँ तो बंदे बैठे थे, बोले जो कैमरा बंद से वीडियो खींच रहा है वो क्यों नहीं resuscitate कर देता?
So the first thing that which came out where this woman, and there was no time for anybody to manipulate that video. If people are saying it was manipulated or Pakistan puts out the narrative, Pakistan is always the first to put out a narrative, by the way. So that's an understood thing. But here, that woman who said that pant utara, or they asked and then said कि जाके मोदी को बताओ. That was that immediate, within minutes of the attack, this thing that was put out, it went on air.
So let me explain this to you. We had a discussion, in my class group. So the North Indian thing of taking down the pant, identifying whether you're a Hindu or a Muslim, it evokes a very primal reaction, which is not there south of the Vindhyas, because that sort of thing has not been seen there that much. Okay, so you see, that's the reason
So that lived memory is not there, is what you're saying.
Yeah, that is what is. Why did I go back to Ramayana and Sugriv and this? Well, last 10 years you have taken out. This is the battle of the information age. We have concentrated on Ramayana. So unless I bring out that narrative, the nation doesn't wake up.
Okay.
Okay, how is a narrative created? It's to do with identity, civilizational identity.
So you're talking about a classroom in South India where
Class group.
a class group which wasn't shocked by that pantutaro and checking.
We're not sure about if that was on video, the pantutaro. They asked about Hindu Muslim.
You notice what he said.
Through the statements of the families of the victims.
Yeah.
So you notice what he said. See, he said immediately there is a suspicion. Is it being done by the government itself for their electoral advantage?
No,
okay.
not suspicion. He said that the
people are saying
opposition has started saying this.
So I noticed the same thing here, which came. So our first this is we don't go as per suspicion. I picked up a phone and talked to a senior, J&K policeman. He immediately told me, no, this is clearly from across. So for me, that's enough. Okay, if he's saying it, because he's the man on the ground. I am a retired man sitting somewhere else. Okay, so we go as per evidence. But people from a different political spectrum must be thinking from a different way.
They're skeptical about this claim that Hindu-Muslim the ki nahi, and skeptical whether they came from across or whether it's a false flag.
Okay, so let me also...
Is that what you're saying?
So I am part of a think tank.
No, please explain to me.
Yes, I'm explaining this to you. I'm part of a think tank, and there is a council, I'm not naming the country, the consulate of that country, when we interacted with them, they wanted to know what did we think. Is it a political move by the government itself to provoke? I said, firstly, there is no elections here, was my immediate reply. Second thing is, I said, I did check up with a J&K police man who said, no, these have definitely come from across. So, this is my reaction. I'm going as per evidence. But see, what is your mainstream narrative is not what other people's narrative is from different political spectrum.
Bilawal Bhutto has just done a cross with an Indian journalist, and they are going to town. They keep repeating this ad nauseum, that all earlier attacks, everything, these are false flag attacks done by India, nothing of this sort happened.
We have won the war,
they called Kargil also false flag at one point.
We won the war, but we lost the narrative, is what I will say. And we lost the narrative because we have our own elements. Abhi, that one statement you recollect, that defense attaches,
Indonesia.
Indonesia made a statement.
Captain Shiv Kumar.
Now, unfortunately, he's a brother officer, so I would rather put the thing in a very separate perspective. Like Ramayana, let me tell a story.
Now you're getting on to the narrative.
So story is the narrative. So there is this king, and one day an astrologer comes to his darbar and he says कि उसका देखता है हाथ वगैरह, and he says कि आप अपने जीते जी अगली 2 जनरेशंस की मृत्यु देखोगे. राजा ने बोले इसको अंदर कर दो. So and it's not Akbar Birbal, okay. Generally people
No,
tend to
in
make Birbal to be a smarter guy. There are more smarter Alex. So the Wazir plans it out, tells him you go and see the other way. So next day again he comes. And he says, क्या लंबी उम्र है आपकी, आप अगली 2 पुश्तों से ज्यादा जियोगे. बात वही बोली है. We have to understand. Army fights, but war decision is a political decision. And when a political decision takes place, there are certain terms of references put.
मैं एक इंटरप्ट करूं, आप जो कहानी सुना रहे थे, अमीश त्रिपाठी ने आज ट्वीट किया, which I find very interesting. He quotes Marcus Aurelius and he says, to offend a strong man, tell him a lie. To offend a weak man, tell him the truth.
I say always.
Stoic.
Yesterday, last evening we were together. Listen, last evening we were together, and something was being discussed, and I told the lady of the house. I said, "You don't want people to believe. Tell them the truth. They will say it is a lie. In what perspective you are telling the truth will matter." I've given you 2 perspectives. वो कहता है कि the politicians put constraint. While I say that the war is a political decision, where the politician gives you the freedom to fight, but puts certain terms and conditions, which we call term of references before we start. So the bounds are said, कि okay, from here to here you will attack, you won't cross across this. Kargil, we were told not to cross the line of control. That was a term of reference put by the government. Okay. So now in this case, the first day, the narrative is, we are as a nation trying to address the world for a situation that has happened with us.
थोड़ा tangent में जाऊं, between Kargil and between Pahalgam, where military objectives are stated, comes in the TSD. You had no objectives of this kind. You had no constraints of these kind. तो आप किस constraint?
Term of reference था,
हाँ,
but वो था limited. और लिमिट नहीं डिफाइन हुई थी, तो वो गलती हो गई थी.
जो मन किया.
आपको लिमिट बताएगा तो लिमिट रखेंगे, नहीं तो हमारी लिमिट है.
Strategic ambiguity regarding objectives.
About term of reference.
What about you?
Okay, so I also back him that war is a continuation of politics by other means, quoting Clausewitz. Okay, here the biggest takeaway for me, the biggest victory has been a clear political mandate that we'll go and strike into Pakistan. The execution, I felt, was not perfect. Okay, and then how does the military absorb a political direction? And do you have to do it in real time? Like last time you had brought me here, we were discussing Israel threatening that now since Iran has struck us, we will retaliate. But how much time did they take? They prepared themselves.
Yeah.
They had a different plan. They had a subterfuge saying that during the times of negotiation will not happen, and then they struck. Here, in real time, giving warning, and Pakistan is saying they're going to attack, they were prepared for it. That is not how you fight that. I felt that the execution lacked subtlety.
Ajit, you want to come in on this?
Let me first finish my first thing.
Okay, sorry.
So, see, as a nation, we are very sensitive to how the world thinks about us. This has been our problem. We are really, वो 4 लोग क्या सोचेंगे? We don't have that attitude, damn the world. There is a problem. That's how our
Even now? Because people say that the Modi government is pretty strong.
Yet, वो 27 कंट्रियां घूम के आ रहा है अभी, तो क्या करके आ रहा है? वर्ल्ड ओपिनियन है ना बनाने के लिए.
But अच्छा है ना?
अच्छा है ना? So वर्ल्ड ओपिनियन हमारी फॉरेन पॉलिसी में है.
हाँ.
So now the first day, the term of reference is, we will strike only the terrorist, irrespective of whatever reaction the Pakistan Army or Air Force has. In that, CDS has accepted that we lost. Yes, we lost. It is not a video game here. We are fighting a war. But just to maintain that world opinion, till Pakistan touched us, we did not touch the Pakistani military assets. We were very specific. We will go and only hit the terrorists. And we came back. In the bargain, if that gentleman, the Captain Saab, says that they were political constraints, they were not political constraints. They were terms of reference for world opinion. उसके अंदर 5 खो या 10 खो, it really doesn't matter.
So
After that, what we did matters because we allowed them to take a military action while we were only doing an action against the terrorists.
Which nothing happened with their military action.
Nothing happened.
Right.
We were way better than
So
most.
even if we gave them the
But
leeway
we-
of 24 hours, in tactical terms, we didn't lose in that.
No, we didn't lose. We
तो
don't
ठीक है ना, तो फिर एक तो समाज में रहने से जैसे होता है ना कि समाज में रहने से कुछ रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशंस होते हैं. सिमिलरली वी आर अ डेमोक्रेसी. इट मैटर्स व्हेन यू आर इन अ पॉलिटी व्हाट द अदर्स हाउ यू
We are in a world order. We have to be.
we have to, right?
We have to.
Were the military objectives met or not? And were, as Colonel Pavithran says, that that the military objectives, were they dynamic? Were they changing between the first 24 hours and the next 24 hours?
If you look at the action that happened on the night of 6th and 7th, the military objectives were completely met. The military objective was to hit across deep inside Pakistan. Ma'am,
हमारी गवर्नमेंट भी टेस्ट बेड हो गई थी.
My terms of reference for this conversation were कि we will go according to the timeline.
timeline.
You guys have gone all over the place. Anyway.
ये तो
Ma'am,
होगा.
if you look at the night of 6th and 7th,
Right.
and we were up,
Yeah.
we
Oh, it's
we
a
had
difficult time.
we had presumed कि आज कुछ हो सकता है, लेकिन
एक तो 3 रातों से ना अजीत मैम आज कुछ होता है. 3 रातें मेरी बिगाड़ दी वेटिंग फॉर इट टू हैपन.
But when it happened very beautifully. And what the military did, what the Air Force did in Muridke and Bahawalpur, and what the army did in its areas of responsibility across the LOC, not very deep inside Pakistan, all these terror camps, whatever was the task given, they did it very beautifully. And they were following the terms of reference given by the government that you must not engage the military targets.
Exactly,
And
that's what I'm saying.
they did not do that. The Pakistanis on their side, with the support of whosoever was supporting them, all these countries have been named: China, Turkey, American satellite constellations. All these, armed with all this, they responded we even told them that we have carried out attacks and we don't want escalation. But they said, no, we will take our own action. And it's an attack on Pakistan. So they responded. And whatever losses, whatever happened that night, after that, whatever happened, it is unprecedented.
दो चीजें तो अच्छी हुई.
Whatever.
जैसे वो बोल रहे थे ना कि चाइना का टेस्ट बेड था ये. हमारी प्रिसीशन देखी थी. मरकज के गुंबद का जो गोल है, सट उसके अंदर.
And also to tell you, India has got the videos of all these attacks.
Yeah, this time that was different.
No, not just the loitering munition that went in,
Right.
also of the missile attacks.
Right.
Also of the like the first night they have videos of everything, but due to some sensitivities, and rightly so, they have not been issued. And the way they have delivered the message through the BrahMos, through the rampages, through the scalp, it is, if I think even the Pakistan military was surprised that have
Ki kya
these-
hua?
ki-
So
have
I'm
these
going to come to you,
guys
but before
gone
that,
mad?
Ishan, about the BrahMos, let's go into that part.
No,
What
I
happened
just
that
want to
night?
come back over there again. Ki, the strategic ambiguity ma'am had talked about. Ki yaar, we will not we won't show visuals of all the attacks that happened, of all, all the damage that we have conducted. What changed this time around? And they actually went ahead and showed videos and pictures that just to maintain credibility of our attacks? What was it?
Because what was happening prior to in the prior cases, like in the first surgical strikes that happened in Myanmar, or then what happened
Uri.
in 2016 post Uri,
Post-Uri.
or the biggest failure in 2019 was not to have an evidence of the attacks,
On
because
Jabba Top and all
on
of
the
that, yeah.
Juba Top,
Yeah.
Jabba, and the
Balakot.
attack on the Balakot
Yes.
seminary. So that was not very that was putting question marks on the success of the attacks. This time they had their that field covered, and they recorded everything, and it was shown to the shown to people that. And it is also now, if we all of us meet people, we talk to a lot of them. The expectation of the people on ground is, you are saying, sir, that we attacked when they were expecting. But the expectation of the people now from the government is कि आज attack हुआ तो तुम कल करो, कल वापस करो. The expectation levels have gone up.
Which I think the international community also is appreciative of that. That if India decides to do something now, this is what has changed.
Thank you. And this is where I want to come in over here. So, 22nd April, Pahalgam happened. 23rd CCS happens. PM cuts short his visit from Saudi Arabia, rushes back. Indus Water Treaty goes into abeyance. And essentially the war drums have begun. Next day, Pakistan also sort of essentially ramps up its rhetoric against India.
Yeah.
On the 26th of April, after Pahalgam, this is the first statement from the American side over here.
Kashmir. Any message for them? Are you going to be talking to them? I'm very close to India and I'm very close to Pakistan, as you know. And they've had that fight for 1,000 years in Kashmir. Kashmir's been going on for 1,000 years, probably longer than that. And it was a bad one yesterday, though. That was a bad one. Over 30 people. Are you concerned that there's now tensions on the border between them? Are you concerned about how you continue about that? Well, there have been tensions on that border for 1,500 years. So, the same as it's been. But they'll get it figured out one way or the other. I'm sure that is.
So, now this is a very important point, right?
Very
here.
important.
Two things, my takeaway. Of course, people got hung up on the 1500 years aspect of, it doesn't he know
Some
what
thought
India,
he's-
Pakistan, doesn't he understand when the borders were drawn, the British, etc., etc. He's going into a deeper civilizational war we've been fighting with sort of Turkic invaders of the past and etc. And this is an iteration of it in a way. But the second part also that I found very interesting over here, that they will figure out one way or the other. Now, you said that there was probably the American deep state knew that Pakistan may do something. Asim Munir, in his position as the new general of Pakistan, has to do something sort of to gain credibility within his own forces and to sort of divert the attention over here. But when the American president over says that they'll figure it out one way or the other, he's expecting an Indian response.
So I firstly am, I've totally absorbed the message. Okay, so understand. You look at South Asia and see how it was produced. I'll take you back to 1920s. Okay, 1910, 1920s. That was the time the British knew that eventually they'll have to exit India, and that's the time they one of the most cosmopolitan leaders of the Indian freedom struggle was a gentleman called Jinnah. Okay, he was a pork-eating, whiskey-drinking gentleman married to a Parsi. And how did he rapidly take on an Islamist ideology and went for the creation of an artificial nation? History is there. Do look into it. Who benefited out of that history? It was the imperial power trying to cling on to power. Now, I have not studied President Trump much, but I don't think he's a man who is well versed with history. So this particular statement definitely has been fed to him. You need to take stock of it. Who is going to benefit out of this? Okay. Like when I look at it, I'm a politically neutral person. I'm an academic sort of person. If you look at India, I have written a paper saying our biggest problem is the social cohesion of a very varied population. Okay? And if you take it as a civilizational struggle, you look at our, who is going to benefit out of this, strife which is happening. So you need to specifically go after the Islamists, which is a problem, Islamist. You need to separate out the rest of the, followers of Islam who is just born into that religion. Okay? This should be our first response. You can't totally blame the entire, Muslim community. There is an Islamist element over there. Me and Colonel Hunny Bakshi is served in Kashmir, and without the support of the Kashmiri population, we can't fight them. We have been winning this fight because the rest of the population of Kashmir is not all Islamist. They are the ones who are feeding us the information.
Yes.
So you need to, your communication has to be very clear, because I have already told you, the Build Back Better, next 10 years is going to be immense challenge to Indian, national security. Yeah. I totally take this as a first warning.
Your take on this?
My take is he's not addressing us.
Huh.
When he talks about 1500 years of the civilizational thing that he's saying.
To the Americans?
He's actually telling the Americans that the illegal immigration that is happening from Syria, from Palestine, from all other countries, this is what you're going to face in the future. He's actually addressing that.
Deep.
For us, everybody knows we are having an issue. That he also knows. But for him to say 1500 years over, you need to again read
and he's
it.
repeatedly said this.
You see, fight for 1,000 years in Kashmir. Now, he's not saying India, Pakistan. You have to understand the lines that he's saying. Fight for 1,000 years in Kashmir. Kashmir has been going on for 1,000 years, probably longer than that. That was a bad one. Shit, I can read there from this far.
Yeah.
There have been tensions on the border for 1500 years. Now that he's going back is the Islamic movement into India.
Expansionist Islamist movement.
Okay,
Correct.
we can use that.
Yes.
That
Very
he-
important.
So that he's actually now addressing his own constituency in America कि ये तुम्हारे साथ ये होगा आने वाले टाइम में तुम फिर ये लड़ रहे होगे. So you read it from that angle.
Ajit, how is all the Trump statements that are coming out, how is it being seen in your beat, journalistic beat, in the MOD, among the Faujis that you interact with? Is it like what us bloody civilians see it, that ye kya interfere kar raha hai? Why did he
But-
call for the ceasefire?
But beauty is he's still sleeping with the Islamists.
Also, evolution of Trump statements, right?
हाँ,
जो
कैसे
पहला-
change हुआ?
Honestly, first statement that came out over here was probably one of the most balanced statements. Because
Yeah.
he didn't say both sides must exercise restraint and all. In fact, over here he's also saying that they'll figure it out themselves. Don't expect America to come in immediately, dive in. And then obviously,
Noor
since
Khan
the
and
action...
Chakababad and
yeah,
Chakla-
everything changed.
Chaklala.
Yes.
Then changes it.
The military, when most of us, people in military were also hopeful that now he has come, and whatever issues we had been facing during the previous administration, there was this expectation that now that would be sorted out. But now, in the last whatever months he has been in power, even the military people, now I think they have also realized that let MEA handle them. But the problem is that the way he pushes for his equipment to be inducted in Indian Armed Forces, and the way they have been saying, that is a major cause of concern, that we have already told you F-35s, they are buying it and they are going to do a deal.
Pakistan Air Chief is already in DC.
What they told us,
and Asim Munir.
the way they told us much before this,
That you should have bought it.
That you buy it and you have it, you get it, and this is something which is worrying for the forces. And the way they are doing it, the way they are trying to push their equipment more into our system, because we know what happened with Pakistani F-16s. The way they were their favorite allies for a long time, and even they have had to face so many problems using that. For the military and this defense part of it, Trump's push for equipment is more cause of worry than all these, because it is taking a lot of time for the experts to decipher what he is trying to do and what is he saying. And every second day he takes credit for the ceasefire.
Yep. So from there onwards to 1st May, also in the middle what happened as well, which we have glossed over, was that a BSF Jawan got captured by the Rangers at that time. Luckily, this time around, we didn't see this outcrying in the media and even even in the opposition for that matter, as when Abhinandan was captured by the Pakistanis. Obviously, there was a concern that the BSF Jawan was done. I think a few statements came from some opposition people, but they didn't really labor the point because it was an active thing. India had not acted yet. We are still on 23rd of April. So between 23rd, 24th, Trump gave a speech. 29th April, the borders got hot. Ceasefire violations started in Kashmir and other areas. And then the government of India then says that they had given a free hand to the armed forces to avenge the Pahalgam attack. Now, just for our viewers, when this messaging, this free hand was said many times. When they say free hand, what is the message? Because sir has said terms of reference diye jate hain. But जब free hand भी बोल रहे हैं at the same time, isn't it?
This
क्या होता है?
free
आप
hand
बताओ।
also.
देखो फ्री हैंड का मतलब ये नहीं होता कि यू लेट आउट अ कबायली वाला फौज द वे दे केम इन 48 की कुछ भी कर लो. There will always be terms of references. There will always be terms. And the term of reference was very clear. It was just a one-line reference term. We will not engage Pakistani military assets. We will just
Hit terror targets.
They would have hit back. मैं अभी भी कह रहा हूँ 5 गिरे होंगे. I am not saying I have no information about it. मैं कह रहा हूँ गिरे होंगे. मैं कहता हूँ 50 गिरे. एक टर्म ऑफ रेफरेंस दिया है. उसके बाद इतना फ्री हैंड मिल गया कि ब्रह्मोस तक यूज हुए.
Yes, of course. We'll come to the.
डिड पहले मशीन गन चलाने के लिए भी दिक्कत होती थी.
So, obviously the borders were hot. Ceasefire violations happened.
We're talking about LOC right now. Still.
Yeah, LOC, even the international border, it was hot. So, and Indian forces, Ajit knows, were responding in a heavy way at that time as well. Then, so obviously, at that time, the Americans were monitoring what was going on. There was hectic movement happening in New Delhi as well as Islamabad at the time. On May 1st, the first interaction, in a way, that we know of, public interaction, of Marco Rubio.
Wait, on 30th, you have Pak Defense Minister say the interview.
So there was an
We're
interview.
Doing
It was
dirty work of Americans. He's saying this.
Yeah,
so
so
when we are
that
talking
we have
about
been-
the
So
Americans,
the Pakistan Defense Minister on 30th of April gives a statement that we have been doing this dirty work for the United States for about 3 decades. That was a mistake and we suffered for that.
So yeah, so this is post-Trump statement. When the Pakistani defense minister is saying this is all well thought of, telling the Americans that you are blaming us, but we have been doing your dirty work. I don't see this interview as a random interview.
मैं इसके अंदर एक इसको वही what you are saying it is not a random interview. मैं इसके अंदर एक interject करूं. Somehow I didn't know. I had a feeling that the plans to strike Iran was already there, and unfortunately this thing happened. And that is where the panic started. कि इसको किसी तरीके से रुकवाओ, because they needed the basis. You've seen the way he's been talking about Pakistan.
And sir, there is also a theory that this entire conflict was a cover-up for what they were planning to do after that.
You mean
Who was
Iran?
planning to do?
Yeah.
See, Americans wanted the Pakistani
Iran
bases.
you're talking about.
There
You
is
know,
also a theory that this created a kind of a flashpoint. Everybody was talking about it, and in the background they were preparing for the bigger game.
They were already preparing for the bigger game. Now, once the bases which the Americans wanted to use were hit, they realized कि ये गड़बड़ हो जाएगी.
Exactly. It went out of hand. They didn't expect the Indian response to be so
and Indian
violent
response
in a way.
was so huge.
Yeah.
We know that some of the bases are not yet
Still
back,
not operational.
back to operations.
Military objectives on 30th April. What is happening in the first 24 hours, and then changes again after that. First, which we are saying, free hand de diya is what the political dispensation said. Yet there are parameters which is only attack the terror bases. Then that changes, right? Does this happen often?
Of course.
It does.
Because it's politics. If you have lost, airplanes, okay, and there were definitely footage of that in the social media. The entire international media was not talking about India retaliating against a terrorist attack, they were talking about the biggest air battle which has happened. China was China and all these people all over the place, a place that Rafale has been shut down. The manufacturing OEM of Rafale, their stock market went down. The entire global market was up in, Chinese have proved their weaponry and, So there has to be a retaliation. There has to be a change in the political plan now. So your hands have been freed. So 3 distinct phases. First is you say that you will go and attack only the terrorists. Okay, that's one part. The second phase is we see all the, drone attacks which is happening. And the third and final phase is the BrahMos going and hitting those,
No, actually, that is not how it is, sir. The BrahMos on the very first day, the BrahMos, Scalp and all this, they greeted their friends in Bahawalpur and Murid.
So there he is correct. I'm talking about hitting the military targets. Okay.
So that is when they started attacking on the night of 6th and 7th.
Basically, it was a king where they got drawn into the battle.
Yeah.
Suppose they hadn't. Let's think of this scenario. If Pakistan had not reacted to the attack on their terror targets,
We were still in a win-win position.
would we have then still attacked their military targets? No.
No, we were in a win-win position.
We had already. So this is where I personally feel our strategic communication is not correct. 2016, 2019 and 2025, we clearly communicated this much, only terrorists and nothing more. Very predictable. Okay. Although the scale was different.
Yeah.
But our communication is what? See, finally was won and lost in the minds of the opposing commanders. Okay, that's today who is the opposing commander is the political leadership. Unless he gives a full, like in 1971 Bangladesh war, the free hand was given. Manekshaw was, the war is between the Pak army and the Indian army. Today it is a calibrated this. And so if you communicate a message that only terrorists and nothing more. So you see 2016 did Pakistan retaliate? No, they were caught in surprise. 2019 they came back and hit. 2025 they were much more prepared. They ambushed. Okay, they are the ones who first escalated. But we are predictable. So strategic communication changed during the course of that hours. Very clearly. Now the escalation matrix, we dominated. Totally, and I told you, beautiful decision. Because you can't have a lesser power coming and, for me, Lashkar-e-Toiba is not a terrorist organization. It's an auxiliary force of the Pakistan army. And they've got embedded SSG. We always knew when you are in intelligence, you come to know. Okay? It's an auxiliary force. So if you say you'll only hit the terrorists, you're already on the defensive, right? Yeah. Only this much and not. But since we seemingly, in the first night, things did not go as planned, we escalated. And what did we show?
Which the army chief has also said.
Yeah. So
he said that at the Shangri-La dialogue.
So I'm not a genius like
CDSL, sorry.
So no. Let's grant it.
We may
see a lot of things which Hunny Bakshi says is by instinct and his study of, that is his genius, intuition. I purely follow factual things. I don't have that big picture intuition or maybe a different mindset. So here I read whatever is in the public source and I've said. So I see it very clearly. Now the thing is, one thing, so there it comes, international media. They did not say it as a retaliatory attack on terrorist attack. So that means our strategic communication was not that effective. They totally went on the air-to-air battle and of Western frontline fighter going down the market. That was what the international media was covering. The third thing is, I felt this is something which I'd like to, through this podcast, communicate to the media, the Indian media, this. See, there is something about credibility. A lot of our mainstream media started talking about Karachi, which never happened. This is something which can come back to hit us. So, credibility is something which is built over decades. Don't lose it for tactical gains.
Okay, I'm going to come back to Ishan, who monitored international media during that period. But before that, agreed about what you say about the Indian media, credibility, etc., etc. The first 24 hours, even the first 48 hours after the operation began. About Karachi, yes, the way they said it was wrong, that Karachi has been attacked, this happened, that happened. It was extremely difficult for us to maintain a restraint. The fact is that Karachi had been attacked. The port had not been attacked. In Karachi, we had attacked at that stage. We were not admitting to it as yet, but Karachi had happened.
This is the Bulari Airbase.
Bulari, Malir Camp.
Malaysia, yeah.
Malir can.
So
So we had attacked.
So precision in communication is what leads to credibility.
I get it. I get it totally. But the point is that at that stage, the briefing had not happened that we had attacked Malir Kant. Right? Why did the briefing not happen? Because that is the strategic ambiguity that the government of India and the Indian military has been doing all through this
No, but tell me
operation.
one thing.
one second.
One
Can I say
second.
that because both of us were very deeply involved when this was going on.
You need to say both who, because somebody listening
Ajit
to
and
audio and
Ajit
doesn't
and I,
know.
Ajit and I. So Pavithran sir, we luckily were very careful with what we put out at that time, so, and we came out pretty good.
And
No,
to
but
tell
one
you about
thing-
this credibility thing.
One
sir,
thing, Ajit, one thing before this. I'm told, I think we discussed it. This time ADGPI was very well prepared to the press releases in time.
I think
Yes,
I
as
think,
compared to other things, 100%
this was the
their
best,
communication.
the best way they could have done.
They did.
And
Now what
not
are-
only the
yeah.
ops room was manned, the information room was also manned. There were people sitting all through the night, 24/7 deployment, giving
The counter propaganda wing was also very good. A lot of false information was coming from the other side as
They
well.
were,
Excessive.
And on real time, we
and
could cross
so
check.
what channels? What
So
channel?
then why, that is where I'm coming to
I'm-
this question. Why did they not on Karachi things, where did they go wrong?
Because there were
that
several sources. Huh? okay.
See, most of these people, some of the, not all in the media. I'll be very honest with you. There were some very loud voices in the media that unfortunately got it wrong. But just to hold a candle for these people as well, you see, at that time we asked around after what happened, why was this done? There was a theory among very credible people or credible voices who people have believed in the past and have given correct information about operational matters, that we will mislead some elements of the media. And probably that's what happened, that they wanted to mislead real time information that was probably being monitored in Pakistan at the time, so that a fog of war was created.
So let me.
And this caused, but
But
obviously
it became counter.
yes, there was a credibility issue, because that again went out of hand, and everyone see, the problem is they probably meant it for 2 or 3 outlets. The other outlets jumped in. Then you have a
never
knock-on effect.
sacrifice a strategic, greater plan
Objective,
for
yeah.
tactical
in the
minor.
in the hindsight we can say that, but I think the objective was something else. But it
Colonel Pavithran, also understand, if somebody played the game at that stage, they agreed to play the game because some of them were told to play the game, right? They were playing during a fog of war, as I said. If there was a tactical reason to confuse the adversary and somebody with credibility was asked to play the game, understand that somewhere they
So
might
I'm
have
not.
played that.
Then
and
if
sir-
that,
And
if
they're
that-
not admitting it.
So if that is the reason why it happened, I personally feel it's a national failure. Okay. If that
That's
is what is happening,
that is a valid
my aim
opinion.
is to point it out.
Absolutely.
Fine.
Yeah, that's
So
a-
there you go.
Absolutely
Sir,
valid opinion. Yeah.
credibility point, on the point of credibility, I'll tell you, from 7th to 10th night till the day the ceasefire announced, I and Ishan were up till late 3:30, 4 o'clock, and we were monitoring. And the kind of barrage of information that was coming out, like on this issue of Pakistani pilots being taken as POWs, even people, the so-called sources were also getting influenced by the.
But remember, this
Arey,
happened the
I-
other way around too. That an Indian pilot had been
Ma'am,
caught in Pakistan.
मैं आपको
You
बताता हूँ.
remember that?
Yeah, yes,
Ma'am,
that-
मैं आपको
because
बताता
they
हूँ,
were
I was
saying,
traveling in
they
Mumbai.
were
Al
saying
Jazeera
that,
had it.
no,
No,
they
no.
said that Indian
Woman
lady pilot,
pilot.
Flight Lieutenant Shivangi Singh has been taken POW by Pakistanis, and they were showing some videos to prove their point. And then started this propaganda that we have taken, like I and Ishan, there were several people whom we took as sources were not confirmed, but they were saying कि हाँ ऐसा कुछ हुआ है because of the
Colonel Saab, it reduced us, honestly, professionally, one of the hardest times, because, it's very easy to run a piece of news. To hold it back requires enormous fortitude.
And-
especially
and
when the
in
phones
agents-
are ringing like crazy. Why aren't you running it? She was also ringing me. That why aren't you running
You know
this?
why? Because a
Because
ground
I don't blame her.
reporter,
Yeah, absolutely.
ground reporter saying, मैं location पे जा रहा हूँ, यहाँ पे pilot गिरा है. You understand? And am I going to believe these guys who are sitting in Delhi or the ground reporter who says कि plane गिरी है, पाकिस्तान के plane गिरा है, पाकिस्तान का pilot मरा है, वहाँ पे पकड़ा है हमने.
And he's getting it from the local police source, who's also hearing it from someone else. So the Chinese
so
whispers
my
that are coming.
instinct is to
And-
believe the ground
Yeah,
reporter.
These are the best Chinese whisperer, I'll tell you. I was traveling in Mumbai in an auto, and there was this Muslim driver. And he came to make तो मेरी मूंछ मार देती है ना दूर से कि अच्छा आप फौज में थे क्या? Now look at it. He believed.
आप बोलते ना मैं अय्यारी में था.
He believed कि Colonel Qureshi, who's a pilot, has been captured.
Yeah, there.
मतलब ही मेरे को मैं बता रहा हूँ यार कुरैशी तो वो बेचारी उस पे बैठ के मीडिया पे स्पोक्स पर्सन थी. नहीं साहब हमको तो आप पता है हमने तो वो देखा है वीडियो देखा है यूट्यूब देखा है.
There, YouTube देखा है.
नहीं, those are his own probably biases also. that came
नहीं
out.
biases
वो
भी
तो
है
फिर-
सर,
हाँ.
लेकिन मैं मतलब that was जैसे I have we are agency. Every news channel depends on like they take our services. If we had gone wrong that day, just imagine.
We would not have
Okay,
been spared.
I'm going to just, Colonel Pavithran, I want to bring this to you because you, among all of us, you're the only one who lives in South India and you have students who are from South India. Not that lived in experience of conflict in your students have as compared to us who've lived in out here. Let me take you back to Kargil conflict, right? Let me take you back to the Kargil conflict. At that time, when the bodies of our soldiers came back, first time the bodies were being sent back to their, the mortal remains were being sent back to their villages, right? The whole coffin scam thing happened. At that time, emergency, we needed the coffins. They were being taken back in those put together boxes, right? In many cases, the bodies were not in a position to be opened and seen also, right? They were being taken back. We were covering that. There was a whole lot of criticism at that stage against us. Of course, social media nahi tha, nahi to trolling ho jati us time. But there was a whole lot of criticism. Why are you doing this? Why are you whipping up sentiment like this? We don't want this to happen. At the other time, we had the Fauj telling us, Karo. We need people from Kashmir to Kanyakumari to understand that this war is not a Kashmir war, a North Indian war. It is a war where soldiers are dying from all corners of the country. So we were sending everybody and we understood this. We understood that it is our duty also. There weren't so many channels in those days. We were covering it. We were the only ones covering it. Despite this criticism and the opposition, like he was saying, that here the opposition also plays a game in this to say that, you know, this is being done to whip up national sentiment so that you can win the next election, etc., etc. But there was this whole thing that the country needs this. This is something that needs to be said to every village that हमारे जो फौजी हैं वो वहाँ से आ रहे हैं, गाँव से आ रहे हैं. They are not son of a colonel who's becoming a fauji. No, this is, you're talking about every village is sending, not just Punjab, not just the sword arm of India. So, you know, when Operation Sindoor becomes 5 years old, these same media persons, a few of them, who agreed to be tool in the hands of people who were planting disinformation on purpose, would have played a yeoman service. The others might, rode the bandwagon and maybe went overboard. But there are people who did this.
Okay, so I've listened to you very carefully. So Kargil was a first televised war. Okay, I was one of the first to go on leave when the war was not officially over because I was in Off Vijay in Kargil. So I was sent on leave by my CEO that time. So masterclass. I did not have, I landed in Chennai. You don't know the fervor which was there. And my cousins, sisters, etc. There's a Kargil hero. I was not a hero, I never, But I saw the whole thing, okay? So masterclass. It had to be done. So I come back to my first CEO used to say there is perks and jerks of being in a seat. So when there is a ruling government out there, wartime is the perks. Huge political this will go in towards them because it's a war. The whole nation has to unify. The opposition, in spite of the instincts, have to stand with the nation. The media has to stand with the nation. Perk. But there are always jerks also of being in the seat. Okay? Because anything which majorly goes wrong, it's with the government.
Okay.
So I'm giving you a perspective.
Huh.
Okay? So I grant you. My only this is a media credibility is and a national credibility. The media credibility is a national credibility. Okay? So you can't sacrifice a national credibility, a strategic asset for small tactical. Whoever has done it, maybe even with the military, it's a message to them too. Don't do this.
Okay.
Okay? I'm not, then I take back that, okay, the certain media has done that. Because see, today, while this thing was on, there were people from the military who know me, who reached out to me. I clearly told them your strategic messaging all over the place.
Okay. Do you think the strategic messaging was all over the place? कुछ गलत किया, कुछ सही कर सकते हैं.
I'll tell you something. What happens? You see Israel. Okay. In every this thing we have one living example. The opposition, everybody has stood by them. इधर दिक्कत ये है कि there is no one opposition. बिहार में बैठा कुछ बोलेगा, दिल्ली में बैठा कुछ बोलेगा, महाराष्ट्र के अंदर दूसरा कुछ बोलेगा. You see, in war you cannot afford to sow seeds of doubt on the nation's capability.
Okay.
And unfortunately again the media thing comes in. Media starts playing it. क्योंकि टीआरपी का जमाना है.
हाँ.
लड़ाई हुई है. अब वो बिहार का इलेक्शन कब है यार?
Yeah, I know. It had nothing to do with that.
But आपने छेड़ दिया ना. अब when you walk on the street and people do come to us, जिनको पता है कर्नल साहब है, सर ये तो बिहार के लिए था. अरे यार, तुमको वो बंदे मरे हुए नहीं दिख रहे हैं क्या? नहीं सर, वो तो क्योंकि एक ने डाल दिया कीड़ा कि नहीं, वो तो उसने मरवाए, फौज सरकार ने मरवाए. Every time a major incident happens, सरकार like जब शुरू में हुआ तो who was coming to the country? There was an international visit, no?
JD Vance was there.
JD
Vance
Vance
was there.
Yeah.
JD
He
Vance
was a
was
private visit, but then it became,
happened.
Yeah, when he was there.
ठीक है.
That it was done for that.
हाँ, done for that. वो उसके आने से पहले करते, उसके साथ मतलब 3 दिन हो चुके थे.
कुछ ना कुछ तो हो रही होता है.
तो वो you see, there are so many minds, and I would say free mind is also a problem in this country. जिसकी जो इच्छा हो रही है वो सोच रहा है और फिर वो बोल रहा है और बोल रहा है और वो उसको डाल रहा है.
हाँ.
So let me jump in, sir, here. It's not absolutely true that in the Israel there are other political voices.
Their voices are there,
Okay.
but yet it doesn't.
They're
come
much more
out
polished. They're much more
much more polished.
Okay, let's get to the timeline.
I am again coming back to my timeline. My timeline जिसकी धज्जियां उड़ा चुकी है at this point. 8th May.
Meanwhile, before 8th, 6th में social media सब बंद हो
6th
चुका है.
May, everything
Pakistan
media. Sort of Pakistani social media accounts, etc. was shut down. Between the intervening night of 6th and 7th May, we begin. Operation Sindoor begins. Did you expect, or just with your experience, all three of you, did you expect the retaliation by India to be so severe?
See, what was more important? हमने पहली बार जब किया तो हमने क्या बोला, हमने लॉन्च पैड्स पे अटैक किया. They came back again. मेरी प्रॉब्लम उस सीवियरिटी की अभी नहीं है. मेरी प्रॉब्लम ये है कि अगली बार होगा तो आपकी सीवियरनेस क्या होगी. सीवियरिटी तो यस, see the kind of outage and the way those people were killed, it had to be severe.
And
expectations or not, it doesn't matter.
And what I know, what I've heard from people, that the initial idea was to not go that heavy, but then the message came from top कि ये इतना हम इनको टारगेट करते हैं, छोटे मोटे से काम नहीं चलेगा.
But PM had already said मिट्टी में मिला देंगे and things. तो मिट्टी में मिला देंगे means what?
The message again the mitti mein mila denge did not send the message rightly across, and it was reiterated कि बड़ा करना है.
Huh.
And then came the
Second attack.
big boys. No, on the first night
On
itself.
the first, okay, the BrahMos you're talking about.
But frankly,
And
in my 32 years while I was in service, I never thought that someday we will be hitting Muridke.
Oh,
Thand
no.
pe gayi. That was my thing also.
Ma'am,
I've driven
and-
past, and on that when you're going in Lahore and you think, bhai, ek din to isko udana hai. You're thinking you're being driven by a Pakistani driver, but you're thinking
the
at that time, ek din to
Pakistanis,
ye udega.
Pakistanis themselves, the people in like their reporters, their media,
They also didn't expect.
No, they also never expected, and they have shown us the extent of damage that has been done by
They-
Indian missile
Yes.
strikes.
Unko they're incredulous
Matlab,
themselves. Like.
Seriously, the governments, whatever be, I don't want to make it a political statement. But somehow, we never had that confidence कि
हाँ.
कभी वहां तक स्ट्राइक मारेंगे, but मारा. क्या press है.
बस
मैं तो-
मसूद असर
मैं-
बच गया.
मैं तो वो ना जो गुम्बद के बीच में से गया ना मिसाइल, मैं तो उस एक्यूरेसी से बड़ा इम्प्रेस्ड हूँ.
Huh. What was your first reaction when you heard that? Was like, oh no, this has escalated, or oh my god, yes. What was your reaction? Or
So
do you react like that at all?
Compulsive contrarian.
No, not like that. So firstly, I never expected that sort of retaliation ever, having been highly disappointed multiple times of my years in service. So for me, it was knew this, but I felt, okay, this is a great thing for this nation. You cannot be on the receiving end continuously. And those guys, I told you, it's a battle of the day they feel, the next, like you said, next time, what will you do? That is when the Pakistan Army commander, for the first time, now it is, will he hit in the first 24 hours directly at me? Then you will see these things will stop.
No,
He has to feel the fear. Second, that military commander sitting out there taking the decision feels that he will use an auxiliary force and strike over there, and he feels that it might come back to hit you. He might think before. He is so confident otherwise. It's in the battle of the mind.
It's a battle of the mind. So this time he knows, and अगली बार
No.
it has got to be Agni.
Sir, at least the three of us have memories of 71. After 71, I remember even as a child hearing कि अब ये फिर से नहीं होगा. Pakistan टूट गया, अब ये नहीं होगा. I remember after Kargil also that now they will not send infiltrators. Now that LOC is as good as an IB, अब infiltration नहीं होगा. Now after Operation Sindoor, the military commanders in
नहीं,
Pakistan know होगा.
ये देखो होगा. That
होगा तो सही
that
ना.
is a rogue country.
Yeah. Okay.
वो तो कुछ ना कुछ तो करेगा. अब वो कैसे करेगा? What tactics he'll change? Because आप देखो ना अभी लखनऊ में कितने वेपन्स मिले हैं. ऐसे तो नहीं रखे हुए ना. एक फैक्ट्री बनी हुई थी उधर.
No, but when you heard the news that we are using heavy artillery, we are using BrahMos, what was your thing that?
We felt good at least.
no, ma'am.
I don't think we knew about BrahMos on the 6th of
On the
night.
sixth night.
It
But ma'am,
came out.
let me tell you, ma'am, heavy artillery is a light thing. Heavy artillery we have been using for a long time. RT is just a
20, 30 kilometers inside.
two mohallas or two districts fighting each other. Sending across 450 plus kilometer range missile, delivering death from standoff. That is
Between
With
two,
evidence.
Between
With
two,
evidence.
two nuclear armed
Hypersonic.
nations, so you don't know
Hypersonic.
whether it's
supersonics,
level.
With the-
supersonics,
Right.
subsonics,
Okay. We're going to get
but
into that.
all with great precision hitting
Let's
the
do
target.
the BrahMos.
No, wait. We talked about the Indian offensive that happened over here. The events that happened, the hectic movement again in Delhi, etc. After the operation happened, the Pakistani response came soon afterwards. 8th May, early morning, late night, 7th.
7th,
it came-
they started.
They started heavy ceasefire violations across the IB and everything. And we've talked about Indian offensive. Now, for the first time, we saw our defensive actions, our air defenses in action when we rendered missiles.
We have come a real long way.
When we rendered missiles and drones ineffective. Essentially, we have
Kill switch.
on the 7th night, 8th morning, the intervening night, a template was set by our air defenses of how to repel attacks. And some of the visuals that I wanted to play out, this later came. These visuals came out later after the operation. When this was happening, also this is May 19th. It happened after, but that's when they decided to show all. Show
Indian
show
Army.
everything. Yeah, exactly. Indian Army, sorry, which showed everything that was thrown at them during that night. Amritsar was targeted along with other 14 military targets that Pakistan targeted. But and the Golden Temple specifically was indeed targeted. The Pakistanis around that time also had held a press conference and also released statements that a false flag operation is something that India was doing at the time by targeting the Golden Temple.
Yeah, this is the disinformation campaign by Pakistan.
Now, ANI had live cameras positioned in Amritsar, and we caught our AD guns live hitting those drones and coming down. We had played it for everyone. It's across the world. It went via partnership with Thomson Reuters and everything. Everyone saw that the offensive was from the Pakistani side. So that's done. Now, the missile fragments that came out was something to be seen. A100 MLRS, this, if I'm not mistaken, Ajit, is a Chinese.
Yeah, Chinese.
This was shown later.
This was
though.
shot down. This was shown later.
Fall.
This is a Yeehaw loitering munition. That all of this was found in Amritsar. Yeehaw loitering munition, Turkish. This is critical. This is a PL-15 missile fragment that has been taken out in Amritsar by our boys over here. So, all the narratives over here that the Chinese media has been pushing, that the PL-15 dominance has broken down the entire spectral thing of the Rafales, etc. The PL-15 is not infallible. It was taken down by our boys over there. This is important because this is an important tip of the spear missile of the Pakistanis. This is important because on 3rd of May, Pakistan had test fired their Abdali, Hataf 2. The army believes that they had shot down a missile that was of an earlier iteration, which is the Hataf 1. So the Hataf missile was also fired at that time. So it wasn't just low-cost drones that our L-70s and our legacy systems took out. Excellent tip-of-the-spear missiles provided by China were taken out. The Hataf 1 missiles also were taken out. The best of Pakistani technology was essentially rendered useless.
Amritsar, sir, they are hitting in Amritsar, and this whole propaganda that they were doing that India's claim is wrong, that Pakistan ever wanted to target the Golden Temple. Amritsar में क्या निकालना चाहते थे? ढाबा तो नहीं मारना चाहते थे ना? They wanted to hit the Golden Temple and then say that India has done this on purpose, and cause Hindu, Sikh or whatever fights.
So you're
Their K2 plan.
Yeah, you're correctly identified. It is an attack on the social cohesion of India.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Which you have been saying in all the episodes that we have done
like he
with
said,
you.
that the symbol of it going through that mosque, if it had hit the Golden Temple, there would be still people with a different
The
political...
SGPC has debunked the general's statement कि नहीं Golden Temple को मारने के लिए नहीं था, ये झूठ है. So there is an element here who is willing to talk Pakistan.
There is a small element here, but there is a larger element of Khalistanis which would have been sitting in, Canada, etc. They would have just, blown it up, But so we need to be cautious. So it is not only military and political targets which will be aimed at, symbolic targets which will lead to social cohesion attacks. We need to prepare for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were targeting gurdwaras in several areas, not just Amritsar. Amritsar, of course, significant.
Also.
Across the LOC. And that's why the Gursabo was taken, sir pe rakh ke, with great respect was taken and kept in safe areas and then brought back. All this has been videoed. That the temples were targeted, the gurdwaras were targeted.
किया ना, कितने बच्चे मरे, कितनी families गई.
So here, let me tell you, I was speaking to this Sri Lankan scholar, Rohan Gunaratna. He told me those attacks which happened in Sri Lanka many years back. Today, he says there are a lot of people who says it was all orchestrated by the Sri Lankan government.
Same story.
So
when the church was
the church was. So now I come to the crux of it. Wars are not anymore in the kinetic domain alone. So I've come up with this, I'm writing this book, So I've come up with this term called the social, technical, cognitive battle space. Okay? There is a nation, there is people. technical is kinetic, okay? And the last is the cognitive. So you need to have a prior plan to prepare your population. You need to actually fight the kinetic battle, okay? And then you should have a cognitive plan to ensure that your narrative is the one which is, unless you start thinking in those directions, you will see this future battle. All battles are going to be like
It's
this.
going to be actually
A cohesive parallel line.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
because you got to keep a population united rather
Yeah.
than divided.
Yeah.
The better
Very
part,
important,
yes.
right.
So now coming back, the better part of 8 May was basically us chasing down that. What? First of all, how did we repel all this?
John is going to labor this timeline.
I'm sorry, yeah, but you know,
No,
the
we
reason for
need
this podcast was that we go date by date
Got
and
it.
then extrapolate of all that happened over
Absolutely.
here. So better part of the 8th May was spent essentially figuring out what happened, then getting the visuals because our teams were there and they knew that something had fallen on the ground, getting those visuals. And on the side in Delhi, there was a hectic movements over here as well. There were diplomatic movements as well. On the 8th, Rubio spoke to Pakistani PM and he also spoke to Jaishankar at that time. And Jaishankar's statement to Rubio was
On the 8th of May, he
on
did.
8th of May was very clear that if Pakistan hits, we'll hit harder.
I'll read out the quote. If Pakistan hits, we hit harder and deeper. Not India's intention to escalate the situation. However, if Pakistan launches military attacks on us, there should be no doubt that it will be met with a very firm, very firm response. We deeply appreciate the US commitment to working with India in the fight against terrorism, underlined India's targeted and measured response to cross-border terrorism will firmly counter any attempts at escalation. No mealy-mouthed
No many
statement.
mouths. And also just coming in, so this was Jaishankar's call over there after Pakistan's drone offensive, which was repelled. Before that, also on May 1st, Marco Rubio had spoken to Jaishankar and Jaishankar had told him categorically that, listen, this isn't a negotiation we're going to have. We are going to hit. We are giving you a notification that this is going to happen. So the mandate that had been given in the CCS was very clear to everyone that an attack will happen. India will do it at a time and place of its choosing. So any rhetoric out there, any narrative out there that has been spun to say that, oh, you know, we weren't sure of what we'll do, our intent was to hit this, not that, it sort of, it gets diluted because there has been a consistency from South Bloc on how we're going to deal with Pakistan. So he speaks to, ma'am just outlined, on 8th May, he speaks to Rubio and explains that we'll hit harder if they continue to do it.
Which they did. On the 8th night, they hit us.
This
on
is
8th
where the term of reference was so important.
term of reference, right? It didn't end there. So he spoke to Rubio, and after that, the Iranian FM, the Iranian foreign minister, was in New Delhi, and he was having a bilateral conversation with Dr. Jaishankar. And these are Dr. Jaishankar's first comments.
At a time when we are responding to a particularly barbaric terrorist attack on 22nd April in the Indian Union territory of Jammu and Kashmir. This attack compelled us to respond on 7th May by striking at cross-border terrorist infrastructure. Our response was targeted and measured. It is not our intention to escalate this situation. However, if there are military attacks on us, there should be no doubt that it will be met with a very firm response. As a neighbor and a close partner, it is important that you have a good understanding of the situation.
Simultaneously, while this was going on, even the Saudi Arabian foreign minister, Abdul Al-Jubair, as well met with Dr. Jaishankar. This was the tweet that came out. It was a basic sort of statement that we are firmly countering terrorism. It was the paradigm had not shifted. It was still terrorism that we are doing. By the evening, the Pakistanis had blinked a little bit. They had a funeral for all the terrorists that were finished off. You had a US designated terrorist leading the prayers. So that symbiotic relationship was for the world to see. In the intervening night of 8th May and 9th morning now, J.D. Vance gave an interview to Fox News. And this is what he said. What we can do is to try and encourage these folks, India, Pakistan, to de-escalate a little bit. But we are not going to get involved in the middle of war. That's fundamentally none of our business. We're going to continue to pursue this thing through diplomatic channels. our hope and our expectation is that this is not going to spiral into a broader regional war or, God forbid, a nuclear conflict. Right now, we don't think this is going to happen. Nuclear bogey is slowly rising. Threshold matrix is escalation matrix is slowly rising, but America still has a hands-off attitude. This is the 9th of May. Banyan al-Marsus, whatever the operation that they have termed it, Pakistan has termed it. Also, interestingly, at that time, this is 9th May again, all of it. Pakistan had also secured an IMF bailout, right?
Yeah.
Which India had abstained from.
That is where, if I intervene,
Yeah,
is
yeah.
where I am saying all that the defense minister made a statement. We are doing a dirty job of. You see, the Iran attack was already planned, and unfortunately for them, this happened. Now this is the time when they arm wrestled. कि अगर तुमको बेस चाहिए तो हमको वो दो.
So on
नहीं
8th,
तो हम
you are saying.
सीज फायर के लिए भी एग्री नहीं करेंगे.
9th को was what happened. 9th को was the IMF bailout.
वो जो सीज फायर के लिए जो बोल रहे हैं कि उनका डीजीएमओ इज कॉल्ड अप टू आर डीजीएमओ इज अ ट्रूथ एक्चुअली. सिर्फ वो इस बात पे एग्री हुआ है कि हम इसको डीजीएमओ टू डीजीएमओ करके हम सीज फायर मांग लेंगे, बट इन रिटर्न हमें क्या मिलेगा.
So it wasn't just because we attacked, because that 8th night, we have attacked now. We've attacked Chaklala. We've
No,
attacked
not yet.
Murid.
No. So, now this. So, 9th is dealt with. 10th,
No.
9th
On the
and 9th night. 9th night.
we've-
In Pakistani Air Force did try to attack us. Again, repelled very well.
For 2 days, the fear of S-400 and the other air defense systems, they forced the Pakistanis to stay very far away from our borders, because the first night itself, the S-400 had created a world record of sorts by hitting
The AVAC.
the aircraft at 314 kilometers. So
beyond visual range, did not cross borders, but we had inflicted heavy damage from our borders. So in the 9th night and 10th, Pakistan had attempted things, and this is where you will notice, you will remember, there was an interception of a Pakistani missile all the way in Sirsa. Not all the way, Sirsa, nearby.
Sir Creek.
No, Sirsa.
Sirsa.
Pakistan had escalated in a major way. 10th May, this video is from 10th May early morning. पर रात को इन्होंने फायर किया था सिरसा में, which our interceptors knocked it down over there.
Which they said that this is part of the Rafale, which they have hit. This is what their media was saying, कि ये जो चला रहे हैं, this is their aircraft.
Our teams on the ground sourced this video from the locals over there, and there are enough videos out there which can clearly ascertain that this was a good sort of interception
This
that
is what
happened.
they said was a fateh.
I mean, whatever it is. So now my point is terms of reference again. Now Pakistan is very near Delhi. They are attacking our critical infrastructure. They're attempting.
See. Let me go a little behind. First, they attempted drones at the low altitude. They got overwhelmed.
Yes.
Then they went a little higher. They kept testing their systems. They kept going higher, and then finally it was their distress, I will call, that यार कुछ नहीं हो रहा, अब फायर कर ही दो. वो उसके अंदर ये they tried Delhi और ये भी गिर गया. But they kept the thing. Next war is going to be about. It's like इन्फेंट्री में होता था ना कि एक पोस्ट के ऊपर 3 कंपनी अटैक करेंगी तो जीतेंगे. It's overwhelming the post. Now it is how much of air defense missiles and systems that you have that you can overwhelm them, or they have that they can overwhelm you.
Sustaining a defense.
Sustaining a defense.
And how many days can you do it?
And
Atmanirbhar comes in here.
Yes, of
You have to have your systems which can repeatedly, instead of looking left, right and center for aid, you have your Atmanirbhar defense systems placed in your country.
Did it work, Colonel Pavithran?
So let me come back to this. I listened very carefully about the S-400. Now, S-400 is also with Turkey. Okay, and if Turkey is that intimately involved in bolstering Pakistan, we need to be careful. Because they by participating in that exercise, which I pointed out, they got a profile of Rafale, which would have definitely helped them. Already, our basic defense S-400 is with their supporting country. Okay, and like he correctly said, this is a test. And there is China standing. I told you there's already an army standing out there, and this is the changing world order, the time of conflict. We should not look at this and feel exuberant. Oh, we dominated the, escalation matrix.
We were still on borrowed.
Okay,
A mix.
Whatever.
So this time we can say it was not completely, but
dependency.
But if you ask me, the real heroes of the people, the systems which stood out, S-400
And legacy defense systems.
legacy
Like Pichora and all?
like Pichora and all, they were there. But main hero of the air defense was S-400.
Yes.
To tackle the bigger birds and missiles, and
Akash tha ki kya tha?
Akash, MR Sam,
And offensive,
Spider.
I'm guessing you're saying BrahMos.
BrahMos was there, and in terms of aircraft, the Rafale and the Su-30s.
On a side note, so now we're in the 9th and 10th. At this time, the channels had toned down a bit of their coverage
Yeah.
during the night time. They realized their errors. So they had corrected very speedily in a way, because the biggest offensive from India's side was about to begin. That's when Rahim Yar Khan, Noor Khan, this is when the big bases, which I don't think Pakistan thought that it would be escalated to a level where their command and control centers were also being
So
targeted.
when it actually got hit, most media was like, are you sure it's okay? We are not going to say it this time.
No,
Are you sure?
actually-
I'll tell you how even we at ANI were quite shocked about what's going on, because this visual is of, we initially wrote it also like this, that police in Barmer retrieve missile debris which is being taken away in a police vehicle. Now in Barmer, look at the size of that missile debris. Later, when we asked around, we got to know that this is our stuff, and it was actually a booster stage from the BrahMos. Our birds had actually launched the missile well within Indian territory. The booster fell down into Indian territory, benign, doesn't do anything. It had Barmer and right across. You have now hit the southern parts of Pakistan, where all your critical infrastructure is parked. We knew then on 10th that something major has happened. Now I want to talk about the American involvement as it started ramping up.
Go on. Ishanji, if I can come in this. Now, Badmer is a bordering district, but we must all remember that Badmer is bigger than the size of Israel.
Yes.
So, when we say that from deep within our territory, so Badmer, if you are on the eastern side, you are well within inside your own territory. So, this was death delivered from a distance, standoff ranges. And the BrahMos was one of the most fired weapons from air. These are
This is now hitting Sindh.
Now
This
you're
is
hitting,
Sindh and
you are
other
hitting, you
areas.
are hitting Rafiki, Murid, Chaklala, Rahim Yar Khan, Sukur, Chunian, radar site in Pasroor, aviation base in Sialkot.
I think total of 37
Yeah.
locations.
So when you say Chaklala, sir, you are hitting the Strategic Forces Division as well.
Did
You
that-
are hitting their C2, command and
So
control.
now America suddenly would have got worried, right, on this day?
And they did.
Sorry. So the point here to note is Sargoda, Chaklala, Raimiar Khan.
Yes.
These are three places which are where they store their nukes. Okay. Hitting places which, with a missile, there is a chance, because when you look at it from their point of view, are they going to take out our nukes? That's our strategic assets. It is theorized and wargamed that can lead to an escalation to a nuclear. It's been theorized. Okay, when people do. Yeah. So, did they do that because they feared it will escalate to the nuclear domain? Was there a deal being cut in real time? We don't know. But we need to find out. Because these
What
are
does your gut tell you?
The
the gut. He's better than me.
No, but you've
No.
I'll get to him, but first, what is your point of view? That do you think that the Americans got into the act and suddenly became active to bring about a reconciliation between India and mediation, whatever word you want to use? Do you think it was this attack?
So from whatever open source evidence which has come, there definitely was a communication from Pakistan to US and vice versa. Okay? If you look at what the terms have come out, and that is when they called us, and we are supposed to have told them that you tell them to speak to us directly, DGMO to DGMO, if they want a ceasefire. Correct? So, when the Americans say we did play a role, did Pak seek? They immediately realized, okay, this is going to places which we are not imagined. Did they, historically, even Sharif, okay, in the Kargil war, he took off to US to Clinton to say,
Do you think General Asim Munir did not wargame this, that we would be attacking the air bases?
I doubt. I doubt it because I like I told you, both of us with our service, we never thought we'll do it. It is certain circumstances which led to us, right? Our first this is only terrorists, but then we escalated very rapidly and then we went
Now,
over there.
let me now just go
He
a step
wouldn't have
further.
thought it.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have thought.
No, he wouldn't have.
He wouldn't have.
If we are saying we couldn't think about it that this will happen, and from क्या कहते हैं रात को blackout exercise, it will turn into
And this
what?
can only come from a political
Yeah.
decision.
It's a political
this
decision.
is not.
Yes.
This is not a free hand.
No,
This
no.
is a political decision that they've been told to go ahead and hit them where it hurts the most. I want to now just
Political restraint was only for the first day.
No, and
You can make out from
and-
Jaishankar Saab's speech, whatever he's speaking, is that if they hit us back, we will hit.
No,
and they knew
sir,
that they will hit back.
This is what happened because after the first night attack, they retaliated with their aircraft. On the first night itself, they retaliated with their aircraft attacks as well as their
Drone.
not drones.
No.
The ground, the SAMs firing at our aircraft.
Oh.
So from that time onwards, the Air Force and the military, they had decided, and the government also agreed with them that there has to be a big retaliation to teach them a lesson. And if you remember, Ishanji, we had done a story also that how the Indian Air Force numbed, blinded and paralyzed the entire Pakistan Air Force and its decision making. They first attacked, they retaliated with loitering munition strikes, took out their radars, then command and control centers, and then all these bases were together.
And I will take a step forward and say we also, in a way, this was shock and awe even for the Chinese who were monitoring
Yeah.
this. Because their HQ-9 is their tip of the spear as well for
Yeah.
missile defense.
For missile
Pakistani air defense was seen to be completely impotent.
I am more onto it, not the air defense of the entire Pakistan. Their nuclear locations,
Right.
that also failed.
And we have taken out, like I have seen those videos where we have taken out their missile, their SAM sites, and it's like to kids, this was for the first time. I think that these Indian Air Force boys also got the opportunity to play this video game. It's like
POV wala.
No, you're talking about the Harop and Harpy drones.
Harop and Harpy.
Yes.
I guess we discussed this,
Yes,
and
yes.
they are like this. Bhaga, maar.
Boom.
Boom, and then the video fades out.
And we saw, in Pakistani TV,
Yeah.
showed pictures from Lahore, Pakistani,
Yeah.
because this is first thing in the morning they
Yeah.
saw, right? This helpless guns shooting in the air,
Yeah.
while, these drones were careening down.
And then they
Yeah.
had to issue a statement with a video that उन्होंने हिंदुस्तानी तैयारों ने हम पे हमले किए और ड्रोन हमलों को नाकाम कर दिया हमारी मुसल्ला फौज ने और वो that
So
type
DG
of
ISPR says attacks on Pakistan Air Force, Noor Khan, Chaklala Rawalpindi, Murid Chakwal and Rafiqi Sharkot in Jung district air bases, but all assets of Air Force remain safe. This is what DG ISPR issues a statement after this.
all assets remained safe, but shahadat बड़े लोगों ने दी है. I mean, so these
on
things
the
came-
lighter side, on the
yeah,
lighter side, we बहुत serious हो गया. But the best comment that came on the social media was, एक बंदा बोल रहा है पाकिस्तान में एयरफोर्स स्टेशन पे अटैक हो रहा है, ठीक है, भीड़ इकट्ठी है, कहते हैं सवेरे नमाज पढ़ने के लिए तो कोई उठ के नहीं आता है, ये तमाशा देखने सारे पहुंचे हुए हैं.
Yeah, but
No,
it is,
actually, most of the videos that have come from Pakistan are shot by Pakistan. They are saying, "Oh, teri, kinari pe maar diya."
the best confirmation kills was probably not even our own satellite pictures, were first person video, amateur video shot by Pakistanis. You can hear the subsonic, supersonic BrahMos come in and careening into these places and hitting the market. And the mushroom cloud is for all to see. Now, just coming back, Jeet, over here, a lot was said that America put undue pressure on India during this thing कि भाई अब बस छोड़ दो, अब बहुत कर लिया. So you made your point and all that. Do you think that pressure would have been there, and would we have taken such a step, such a decisive step at that time on the 10th? Or do you think those noises may have been coming, but we decided to follow our own path?
I think, Ishanji, we have discussed this earlier also, and but not done. On 10th morning, when the Pakistani DGMO was pleading for a talk with our DGMO, they held a round of talks. This was around 9 or prior to that. That time, our boys from South were in air.
Right.
So the Southwestern Air Command, they were in air, and we agreed for a ceasefire after they completed their job on 10th morning.
There was no ceasefire. There's still no ceasefire.
There's still
suspension of operations.
Suspension of operations.
Let's use the right term.
So they were pleading
Sindoor
for
continues.
The Sindoor continues, but we agreed for suspension of operations only after they delivered their package on all these places in southern Pakistan.
what happened to the Chinese frigates? Why didn't they move?
Chinese?
The Chinese frigates which were there. Why didn't Pakistan Navy move anything? Why would they?
So in the Navy,
I wanted to come there. I wanted to come there. Sir, I'll come to you for Navy again.
Okay, so Indian Navy, has overwhelming,
So we
superiority.
blockaded them?
I wouldn't call it exactly a blockade, but when you look at Pakistan Navy, that is not their strong point. Okay? That is definitely not their strong point.
Which is why they were cooperating with the Chinese together.
Maybe in the next 10 years when they get all their submarines and frigates that they're planning to get.
Let me
because he spoke about Southwestern.
I will give you another picture. Who are basic weapon suppliers of the Indian military forces? One is Russia and other is?
France.
Okay, France
is
also Israel.
Israel also, yes.
So these two people are caught in their own wars. You will not get supplies. Okay? Look at it. And there is a major industrial power, the largest industrial power on the planet, China, backing.
Yes.
Okay? So we have everything is not hunky-dory.
No, we have a work cut out for ourselves.
They've provided, let me come back to the question. So they have provided everything to the Pakistan Navy. What happened? Why didn't those frigates move? When they knew हम लोग वहाँ से attack कर रहे हैं, Karachi is being attacked. What happened?
So the Chinese always play the long game. They have very cleverly kept themselves out of war after that 62 and,
Because we heard that the Chinese pilots were flying there.
We heard, see, like I said, I am a guy who goes with evidence.
Their subs didn't move. Why didn't their submarine move? Why didn't anything move?
See, I don't know, to be very honest. I will not like to speculate. He's the man who might tell
you. This is a war. When you were saying Turkey has S-400s, Turkey will not fire from its...
So I have
Neither
heard
will China fire from its soil.
So I have heard of Turkey.
Agreed. But Turkey के pilots वहाँ पे थे. Everybody knows that Turkish...
They were their drone pilots.
They were drone pilots, but they were sitting in Pakistan. The Chinese pilots were sitting in Pakistan. How come? Under CPEC, काफी सारे लोग हैं उनके. They're all sitting out there. Where were they?
Probably they were waiting for not letting their assets get touched.
You know where I'm going at, right? What I'm going at is that this was a lab. This was a lab. They're saying, Lado. Let us see how our equipment functions.
No, actually,
let the casualty be of you people.
Actually, ma'am, if you look at it,
we had
Indian strategy of using the long-range BrahMos for ground attacks was practiced majorly for the northern borders. That how do we take out their long-range surface-to-air missiles by remaining out of their envelope.
Beyond visual range.
No, the surface to air.
Okay.
The air defense. So that was basically launch a BrahMos which can, I think now would be able to travel to 800 plus kilometers, launched from air. That S-400, the Chinese S-400 has a range of 400 kilometers, say. So you remain out of that envelope and you launch an attack on a SAM site and then destroy it if there is a need. So this was practiced mostly after Galwan or even prior to that, but that was mainly focused on that front. So now what has happened in this conflict, that all those air defense systems that we had been practicing against have come to this
They've
side.
been repurposed here.
जब हमने
The
नूर खान
Chinese
अटैक किया
But this is what I'm saying. See,
the
your
Chinese equipment is now, what General Rahul Singh said, is now being used by Pakistan. The Turkish drones, all these TB2 we have been hearing about, which
Jihad
are
drones,
yeah,
all that.
drones, they're all being tested here by Pakistan. The first day, they, as Sir said, they were flying low, then went up ahead. They tested our air defense, that what are their capabilities, how long can they sustain, and then came the attack on 9th and 10th May from the Pakistani side.
Right.
So they were testing, and it is actually a lab. The Pakistan army has been a lab. Pakistan has been a lab for.
This is where I
Two
have a
opposing
bit of
superpowers
a.
are supporting them.
This is where I have a little bit of a contrarian take, and I will hazard a speculation over here. The part of a lab that you're saying, real-time test, probably held true till we hit Noor Khan and Rahim Yar. 100% you're right till the time. When such a major escalation happens, where you've hit their things, and I'm just going by what happened in that timeline. We hit them. The American intervention, let's now call it an intervention, ramped up in a major way. Till now, they wanted a hands-off approach, baat kar lo, settle kar lo, etc., etc. Then quickly, Rubio is calling his counterpart. Jaishankar, Rubio also calls the Pakistanis. But something that happened on the 10th that was reported but then was taken away. But I'm going to bring that up again. If you can just bring out the India Today article on this one, because they quoted the Pakistani sources. If you remember, there was an urgent meeting that apparently happened in Pakistan where their command authority met. This is the command authority, which it's a civilian body, civilian military, which oversees a nuclear arsenal. This meeting was supposed to happen. It took a full 3 hours for the Pakistanis to then deny that no such meeting has happened. Now, my question to you, gentlemen, is: you're seeing your tip of the spear blunted by Indian kinetic action. You're saying that now we are going to pair our nukes. Essentially, that's my understanding. If you're calling for a nuclear command authority meet, you're essentially signaling to the world that we are pairing our nukes. Let that information be there, right? 3 hours later, you immediately retract your information. What do you think happened?
Okay, so I told you that battles are won in the minds of the opposing commanders. Pakistan historically has always been on the offensive that, saber rattling, no? We'll use our nukes. But there it comes, you have actually hit them. What did they do? They blinked.
It was a high-stakes poker game as well.
So they blinked.
Yep.
Okay. So I see it very clearly there. We have crossed all their reported red lines, targeting our places we are storing our strategic weapons, taking out. So NCA meeting, etc. are highly, that means you have crossed the Rubicon.
You have crossed.
It has to.
Sir,
Did they try to pair? What do you think? Or was it a bluff? Like what Ishan is saying.
So the last 30 years, Pakistan has been bluffing. I could see it as a very junior officer.
and
Okay.
You don't
Even throughout Kargil, Parakram, wherever we have said that we will do, even Musharraf, blinked. He immediately said,
the Indian military has been very clear on this nuclear bluff for a long time.
Can we read through Munir's statement?
Just a second, sir. And recently, a very senior officer said that the Pakistan army is very rational in being seen as irrational. And that is what
absolutely.
they try to do that.
This is Pakistani defense minister who refuted the fact that ये nuclear command authority मिली है. Now sir, एक second.
मैं मुनीर की
खत्म बस, फिर उसके बाद आ जाओ आप. ये हुआ 10th को उन्होंने मना कर दिया and all. My question to you is, हमने मारा जरूर ये जगह, America has gone on record said कि हमारा कोई asset नहीं है यहाँ पे. हमारा कोई in these areas we have no control over Pakistani nukes and all that. How accurate do you think that statement is? Do they have? And for this, before I've asked you this question, but before that, the New York Times article from 2007. We went deeper into this. This was written by David Sanger. He's there. He's absolutely an amazing reporter over there. National security. His sources in the Pentagon are very good. The article, essentially, the gist is that in 2007, the Bush administration had rolled in $100 million grant to protect Pakistan's nuclear weapons. Because in 2007, towards the fag end of the Bush presidency, Pakistan was in absolute turmoil. The fear of a bomb going into the hands of, a rogue element in Pakistan, all of them are rogue, but a terror group getting their hands on it was very high. So they bankrolled. This is the article. Yeah, so they bankrolled essentially protection of Pakistani nukes.
So Noor Khan, you're talking about.
They didn't take names. So another important fact of this is that in the article, buried in the article, David Sanger also says that the New York Times knew about this clandestine program, $100 million grant, which probably was more, knew about it for 3 years. They withheld publication for 3 years. Therefore, you roll back, those are char. So there was institutional support provided over there to Pakistan with knowledge of the Pentagon, of probably the American deep state, etc., that they have assets in there that are in control of nukes, or if not in control, at least they know that, the nukes are safe with Pakistan, where they are monitoring of this. Now, this is all published. This is not something that the Indian media has come out. This is New York Times over there. And we all know the way, the Bush administration and the Pakistanis were they knew everything. My point being, did the alarm bells now go off in America? Was the Trump cabinet finally told that we have also assets on the ground and we need to intervene now and at least help in getting a ceasefire going?
Again, I'm coming to Munir's statement.
Absolutely.
What did he say? We can still have 10 more wars with them.
Oh, the February 5th statement.
He's a rogue man. He's very, very Islamist. He's a Hafiz. He knows the Quran Sharif, the Hadith back of the end. And wherever he goes, he impresses them with those Arabic quotes. If he had the control about, he's the only one who's never spoken about a nuclear thing. If he knew that they can go in for a nuclear attack, why would he say 10 times we'll go for a war? You can say we will not let them go the next time. He's never mentioned nukes. That means he doesn't have the control.
The Americans.
And then there are people who have come on board to say that there was an interview which I was seeing of an Air Force officer. He said वो जा रहा था तो उसने sergeant ने रोक दिया उसको
कि आगे नहीं बढ़ सकते. Yeah, this Imtiaz Gul जो है वो Pakistani security analyst हैं. He has written and he says that this area, American operational control through covert arrangement under de facto, and he says that this area, US aircraft regularly land and take off from here, and he says senior Pakistan military officials are restricted from accessing certain operations at the base, and that's the reason why America on the second day got active. This is Imtiaz Gul who has said this, that even Pakistan military officials cannot get in that area of Noor Khan, and it is like some of the air bases in Afghanistan when the American air bases were operating out there.
Okay, so there are two things. Definitely there was a plan. If you look at 2007 was where the global war on terror was there, and Americans were based in Pakistan and going into Afghanistan. Okay, so I at that time was in service and I remember this incident. I was keenly watching will the Pakistanis agree to have American control systems so that it doesn't fall into rogue elements. From what I've read and what I remember, they clearly refused. Pakistan clearly said we will not have any, these are our strategic assets, we will not have American controlled systems over it. Okay, that's first. Then about American bases in Pakistan, historically, Pakistan was created because they agreed, Jinnah agreed that you can have Anglo-Saxon bases over there. Okay, if you look at the Indian National Congress, they did not have a political sense. They were very clear that we will not allow any imperial power to have bases in.
No, air bases, traditional air bases, agreed. They did that even during the Gulf Wars. The fueling and etc. was happening. But this is your crown jewels, right, for Pakistan. This is their...
So I don't think the Pakistanis have ceded control over that, because the entire, they have to play the new card too. That's what gives them power. Okay, I don't think so. Whether the American bases where they don't permit Pakistan personnel to enter, highly possible. This is my assessment.
That they will not, because there are several people who are monitoring, the Pakistani web and OSINT handles, which are saying that this conversation is happening, that they are not allowed to go inside, and that
Could
when
be.
the bombing
If there is a foreign military base, especially an American military base on Pakistani soil, definitely they will not permit Pakistani personnel to enter that. Okay, that's very clear. It happens in all over Europe also, where there is an American base, it is guarded by the Americans, and they will not allow anyone else to enter it.
Okay, as we are coming towards the end of the conversation, I just want to ask from you, there is a certain section within India which says that this was too quickly we entered the war, if it is a war. Did it end too quickly? Were the objectives met? Should the objectives have been wider?
Yeah, I'll say something. I'll try to deflect this. The reason is, you see, government has plans. What plans they are, it's too early for us to say anything about it. I'm being very reasonable about it, because when the government says Operation Sindoor continues, why they pulled back or they went into suspension of operations, there are a lot of geographical reasons. I will not spell in this place. I'm very clear about that. At that juncture, in the month of May, going in for a war when I say war, it's now you're crossing the realm of missiles and air warfare, the new kind
Boots
of air
on the
warfare.
ground kind of thing.
The boots on the ground kind of thing. So, it's too early for us to make any assessment which may affect the security scenario. I will end it here, because this is something if we let's go with the government. They say the Operation Sindoor is on, we take it on. Simple.
I want to go as a
Let's
takeaway
get
on the takeaway on the operational part of it. You see, one of the things that we were discussing was that maybe there was a technical gap during this war for the Indian armed forces. You see, NATO has its Link 16, China has its XS3, they have a satellite constellation of giving real-time updates, etc. Do we have such capabilities? We obviously don't have our own sovereign link that way, or maybe we do, but we don't have it to an advanced level that the Chinese or the Americans have. At this point, after this war, hasn't this become of critical importance for us, that all our birds in the sky, our boots on the ground, they can talk to each other in a secure fashion, as well as we get real-time updates with our satellites in the sky? Why don't you take that, sir, first, and then I'll go to Ajit.
Okay, so what is there in the open source? We have asked Rafale for the source code so that we can integrate our BrahMos onto it, and seemingly France has refused. So if that is an indication, what did the Americans say? If you buy the S-400, you can't have F-35. There are certain things.
Yes.
Because if you allow access to these are all platforms which are not supposed to act in isolation. They're all supposed to act in concert. Okay. We are buying piecemeal things from different people. We have never gone for this. We are opposing theaterization, etc. So the evidence points to that there is an issue. Okay. So I've just put it, what is there in open source. I restrict myself to the open source part of it, and I've given you a reply to the open source part of it.
As far as this being critical, there is no denial that this kind of a capability is critical. But then what do you do when you have, you can't, right now what we are talking about? We are talking about getting a 5th generation fighter from either US or the Russians. If suppose the F-35 comes, just a supposition, if the F-35 comes, will it be able to talk to the Su-30s? Will it be able? It may be able to talk to the Rafales, but will it be able to? Will they provide us the capability for this F-35 to talk to Su-30s or the S-400s or whatever Russian systems we have?
So that is
Answer right now is no. They will not allow that.
And the fear of a kill switch also.
Yeah, and if you keep buying from others, if you keep like right now we have Mirages, Rafales from France, the Su-30s which are the bulk of the Air Force, they are from Russia. The Rafale is the most capable, but it cannot
talk to all these other systems.
Like
foreign
the
systems.
Russian missiles cannot be integrated. The India wanted the Meteors to be integrated on the Su-30s to give them a long range air-to-air capability. That is not coming. They have plainly refused. So, if we keep buying from others, like advantage that Pakistan had in this war was that most of its equipment was from
one source.
China.
One source, China, and whatever had come from other sources has been integrated. So, what a JF-17 sees, and HQ-9 also sees, and the PL-15 also sees.
The missile, yeah.
The missile, and everything, whatever Chinese is there, it is talking to each other. Whereas we have this problem. I don't know whether they have been able to sort this out, but this is an issue that will continue. And also this point I wanted to bring in about the dominance of the Indian operations majorly by the Indian Air Force in Pakistani mainland, Punjab and Sindh and other areas, was the victory celebration done by the Pakistanis on a army tank which did not even take part in the war.
Absolutely.
And not on airfields which were rendered useless by the Indian Air Force strikes.
Please go ahead.
So I want to just get into this conversation. For me, it was fascinating. If you look at Nawaz Sharif, he's got a history. Whenever, last time in Kargil, he knew that if ever the Pakistan army feels that they are projected as being defeated, that means the sitting prime minister will go. There will be a coup. Okay. Here, I clearly saw that having that, he must have told his brother, let us project it as a victory and promote Asim Munir so that he doesn't kick you out.
Oh, that's why he becomes...
100%. I have no doubt in my mind.
Field Marshal Saab.
Because you look at this entire projection of victory.
He's preempted it.
Yeah, they have, the civilian government has preempted it. You have to see it from that direction.
Okay.
Okay, it looks so, it's a victory.
It's very transparent.
You see their body language, etc., and trying to make this guy a hero. Because if it is projected.
And Zardari has also gone on that. And he's literally...
So it is a civilian government's history. They know. Second a war happens.
You saw the body language of Munir when Shahbaz Sharif laga hua hai.
No, Shahbaz Sharif was continuously saying, "Ye qaum ka fakr hai," and he was like,
and he was like, "Yaar, ab itna bhi mat kar yaar."
I think the cherry.
Giving him a salute.
I think the cherry on top was that when Field Marshal, उस समय तो Army Chief Marshal Munir थे, and शहबाज से जो उनको picture दी थी ना to commemorate this amazing Pakistani response, that picture was of a Chinese fire drill of 2019. Which they passed off as their thing. So that summarized essentially the entire Pakistan. And not to mention that the Pakistani minister getting up in parliament and saying we ruled the skies, quoting a fake front page of the Daily Telegraph, which was busted later by Pakistani news organizations. Yaar, iski kya zarurat thi?
Doesn't matter.
So I am a person who doesn't speculate. But this speculation, it's like, 19 and a half, I'm easily able to.
So I'm going to come back to this, Colonel Pavithran, because you keep saying this, that credibility of media is important, right? I agree with you. In a democracy like India, credibility is important because we have to see who we are dealing with in the world, credible democracies. But your adversary, jhoote to the core, to their DNA, jhoote. They put out only fake information. They have this even at the military and the civilian leadership level, fake. So when you're dealing with an adversary which is only dealing with fake news, what do you do?
Yeah, sure, sir.
26/11 hua. They have planned their psychological warfare, propaganda warfare way before when they go in for it. हमारे यहाँ पे उस टाइप का propaganda planned है नहीं है मुझे नहीं मालूम, but उनका इतना बढ़िया है वो लाल टोपी.
बिल्कुल.
इधर अटैक चल रहा है, उधर लाल टोपी बैठ के टीवी पे डिस्कशन कर रहा है और बोल रहा है इसको देख के लगता है बिल्कुल ये बिहार का है, ये यहाँ। भाई हमने बोला पाकिस्तानी है अभी तक, तू पहले चालू हो गया है। वो लगता है उसको देखो वो ब्राह्मण है, वो देखो वो लगता है वो राजपूत है। So they have these discussions pre-planned. Here the attack of 26/11 is on and इधर उनके propaganda machinery is working. यहाँ पे भी इनका यही है। That is what I say. We won the war but we foiled the narrative.
In the narrative part, now I'm going to ask a question which may get some people angry. I apologize in advance. First, the first press conference with Vikram Mishri Saab, and he was flanked by the two lady army officials,
Wing Commander
Vyomika and Colonel Sofia Qureshi, and they gave the first instances of what the targets were, etc. Done flawlessly, fine. Now, when this kept ramping up, and India was using its tip of the spear, BrahMos is the tip of the spear, and there was very active, like kinetic action happening on our borders. When the tip of the spear is being used in a warfare, shouldn't we have heard from the men who were wielding that that spear? Because when the 3 Indian Army, Air Force and Navy officials held that press conference and gave a detailed briefing of how we hit them hard, in a perception wise, didn't that have, with all respect to the lady officers, to Vikram Mishri Saab, didn't that hold more weight when it comes to strategic comms?
See, probably they waited for an opportunity, because you have to understand, by then the ceasefire has happened. You think the DGMO and all would have had time? Oh, poor people, they would have been running between their short sleeps or naps, I would call, between the operations happening. At that time, for them to come every day on the platform and start briefing, it was not possible. It is just not possible here, because the man is into the thick of the war. All 3 of them.
Like the WSC commander and the Southwestern air chiefs and all these people, they were for 4 days, their phones were off, they were not, I don't think they were even going back home.
They will be going back home.
Yeah.
Because
the army chief, we have got the
ma'am,
pictures.
I'll tell you, ma'am.
When you compare it with when you had that Aurangzeb guy in Pakistan
I'll give you a simple thing. My personal life experience. I was commanding a unit in Calcutta. My brother-in-law had just got posted to Calcutta. And my in-laws used to stay with him. I would say कि मेरा जो साला है, वो एक वो नहीं था, वो जो कावड़, वो माँ बाप को उठा के चलता था अपने,
श्रवण
कुमार, literally that श्रवण कुमार, okay. For years and years he has kept the parents with him. Again, a Colonel साहब decided कि मैं अब तुम्हारे साथ ही रहूँगा. आज की तारीख में बच्चे मिलते नहीं हैं जब उन्हें माँ बाप को 30 साल साथ रख लें. So when he shifted, and they are old school, my in-laws, na. So when he shifted, he got a guest room. So naturally, the in-laws were staying with me. And believe me, my father-in-law would pay money to my wife कि लड़की के घर में मैं पानी नहीं पीऊँगा, ऐसे टाइप ना, अगर पीना तो पैसा दूंगा टाइप. अब I was commanding the unit and I was handling about 8 northeastern states. Mizoram I was not handling, rest I was handling everywhere. Operations were on. Every night, and my wife was working, she had to get up in the morning, prepare my child, send him to school, then go herself to the office, come back in the evening. और फौज के ऑपरेशंस रात को होते हैं. Every night I would actually come out of the bedroom, go into the drawing room. वो अपने सोफे के 3 गद्दे नहीं होते, वैसे वो पीछे के 3 और इधर के 3 मैं लगा के, and I used to sleep in the drawing room. Rather I would say won't sleep, I would be lying there, because पूरी रात कॉल्स चलते थे. कहाँ ऑपरेशन पहुँचा, तुम कहाँ पहुँचे. So this communication is continuous. So till about 4:30 in the morning, 5-6, by the time the kid got up, I was actually, and this was for like 2.5 years. One day my mother-in-law asked my wife, she says, यार तुम दोनों के बीच में सब ठीक है, वो रात को बाहर जाके क्यों सोता है? No, she's not realizing this. So now in a hot war like this, वो तो नॉर्मल रूटीन की लड़ाई चल रही है, मैं वहाँ पे मेरी हालत ही हो रखी होती थी. And the entire house knew कि ये दोपहर को आता है, इसको 1 घंटा छेड़ना नहीं है. So afternoon I would come in, that 1 hour I would try and take. And as a commanding officer, 2 years plus, you were just not sleeping. And be Saturday, be Sunday. Now, coming back to that point, it is just not possible for a DGMO or all the DGs, MOs of whatever forces to come and brief every day. And it's a small set of people. You can't even spare them out. Like I remember Colonel Jaspal, then later General Jaspal used to come to brief initially, Jamaica. Finally, then they got Colonel Bikram, then later General Bikram.
Kargil you're talking
Kargil
about.
के टाइम पे बड़ी मुश्किल से उन्होंने एक स्पेयर आउट करके दिया था.
Yeah.
But this time the narratives were different.
Correct, yes.
ठीक है. तो
It changes that was, we forget how many years back that was, and it was a longer period. This was just 108 hours. Colonel Pavithran, I want to come back to you. In our earlier episodes, we were talking about kill switch and things like that which were happening. And now we were talking about all kinds of conversations happening that some of our aircraft couldn't take off because some kill switch was used. Their drones could not take off because we used a kill switch. Was this all happening, do you think?
So I've not heard of a kill switch, but a lot of these drones were working on frequencies which are open to the civilian and GPS enabled. They would not have been able to, in a ECM, ECCM environment, they would not have been able to take off. Okay, it would have been a wake-up call for a lot of people. But I've not heard of the kill switch. Although I've heard that certain drones had been taken over, maybe not by Pakistan, but the people who are the OEMs over there. Okay, so the multi-domain warfare. So I've written 2 papers. I've written 2 visualization.
You're writing a book, or something.
Yeah. So this is a new theory on warfare itself, which I'm co-authoring with General Huda. Okay. So almost 2 lakh words written.
Wow.
Okay. So we're doing that, and it looks. So maybe I told you this word: social, technical, cognitive battle space, because you have to give it a little bit of thought to say that where is a war. So the war is definitely not. You have to war game this. The military will have to have. See, agile communication is not everyone's forte. So the military will have to plan for this. The Foreign Service and the MEA will have to plan for this and get professionals. In case of war, it should not be that at that time we choose. It should be, you have to get your act together, because the war is not happening in the kinetic domain alone.
Yes.
It is happening in multiple other domains.
This is another thing that we found in Amritsar, the Banshee drones. So, when
These are
Pakistani...
those British ones.
British ones. So, when the Pakistanis were claiming that they had taken down X, Y, Z multiplied by 50 Indian Air Force jets, Ajit, you tell me, why were these Banshee drones up there in the air? What was their role?
Just to draw their air defense, and the Pakistanis performed very efficiently against these decoy drones. They fired 536 rounds at two of the drones, the decoy planes, to get them down. So they were very efficient, and we could draw their air defenses, and then we carried out attacks. Now here we have to
we also let them believe that they took down our planes.
Yeah,
when in fact they took down our. This is all. If you see, it's time stamped, and it's all. We put it out there.
And we are in a time where, when we are buying equipment from other countries, we are also getting inflatable replicas of those
Plane
systems with that.
That's an old technique.
That's an old technique, but
it was used in D-Day as well.
Yeah,
so
I think why they feel that they have taken out center of gravity, the national crush of Pakistan, what he was saying, is because they have taken out dummy targets. So
you're talking about Aurangzeb.
Yes. So all these things, they have worked very well. There are a lot of lessons to be learnt in terms of intelligence, like the location of 2 of the HQ-9s was not known, which was later found and then taken out also. So there are a lot of lessons learnt.
So a lot of information was withheld from the Indian media as well.
Yeah, this was the pull tactic. Intelligence pull tactic.
This is
rightly
routine military
let's-
tactics.
let's-
This is you draw the fire. That's what we call it.
These are routine military tactics.
Okay.
Nothing new about them. Decoys, not only visually, but electronically also it can be replicated.
Yeah.
So these things happen.
This is an example we are showing of how the Pakistanis used this, thinking that they're drawn, and they had that military briefing with Aurangzeb, etc., and they had called in the Western media bureaus over there, who probably don't leave Islamabad, they stay in Islamabad, they will never report from other parts of Pakistan, and let them believe that they had actually taken down a number of Indian planes. And because there was no voices over here rejecting, denying at the time, we also let them believe that this happened. But now,
How much is this
now we have time,
disinformation?
yes, to see all this.
How much of disinformation is used in a war as a tactic?
All war is deception.
Okay.
All war is Sun Tzu. He said everything is deception. It's how you make that. It's all a battle of the mind of the opposing commanders. How you deceive him, how to do this. And then one more thing I've been trying to, since I'm writing that book. So Sun Tzu is posited. The acme of war is to win without fighting. So today, the acme of war is to get the other guy to buy your equipment. Okay, you might give a 30% discount, fix this entire critical infrastructure in such a way, and he himself defeats himself. You spend the money, you make profit over the long term, and you defeat him. That's acme war.
Okay. Colonel Sir, while all this operation is on, since you have undertaken several covert operations during your time, क्या ये covert ops भी साथ साथ चलती हैं या does that go on hold?
Let me take you to Israel and Iran thing.
No, please tell me about your time.
I'm coming to this topic that you want.
Okay.
वो जो उतनी दूर से एक बड़ा मिसाइल छोड़ेंगे, बिकॉज डिस्टेंस कवर करना है ना, तो फ्यूल ज़्यादा चाहिए, ये चाहिए. लेकिन जब वो बेडरूम में मार रहा है, तीसरे माले पे छोटे से छेद में, वो कोवर्ट ऑपरेशन है. That means the elements are already there.
Okay.
They're directing.
No, not directing.
Then?
He is using a missile there, a smaller version, because उतना बड़ा मिसाइल तो पूरी बिल्डिंग उड़ा देगा. ये तो you see, when you identify a target, there are two ways. एक होता है कि आपका एक GPS अपने लोकेशन उसमें डाल दिया लटलाऊं, वो ऊपर से आता है सीधा नीचे मारता है. एक होता है कि आप एक्यूरेसी पे इतने पे आ रहे हो कि तीसरे या चौथे माले के बेडरूम पे you are hitting from the side, so you light up the target. So there is a various ways of lighting up the target. एक लेजर से कर देते हो. Now the missile that comes, it follows exactly this laser का pointing, and it goes from the side into it.
The Yahya Sinwar
Yes, of course.
attack.
Can I come there? Yes. So I agree with that. It was a much smaller missile, but I don't know whether it was a homing, laser beam which was directing it. I think there is a better chance that they had a pre-positioned wearable or a smartphone or any COTS devices which are giving real-time information that this guy is there and that's how to be taken out.
But we don't have that. We didn't get Masood Azhar. We didn't get Hafiz Saeed. We haven't got Zakir Rahman Lakwi. We haven't got Dawood Ibrahim. तो ये हमारे पास लेजर वाला क्यों नहीं है?
We are no.
क्यों जिंदा इतने लोगों को क्यों जिंदा रखें?
So let me give you a slightly more detailed this.
Why isn't our military doing this?
So
क्या जरूरत है हमारे?
Only product manufacturing power will have that capability.
Very
Chinese products are there in all over India, in your homes. Okay? Where are the Indian products in Pakistan or China or any other part of the world? So you are at a huge disadvantage.
अंबानी जी सुन रहे हैं आप please, right? We need our geo products there or something.
No.
What are you saying then?
So there you are,
आत्मनिर्भर तो हुए नहीं ना?
No, so I have heard this report that a lot of things which is coming in India are white labeled as Indian products. This is something which the intelligence and government agencies will have to really look into, otherwise you are headed for strategic surprise.
आप OEM का सर्टिफिकेट दे रहे हो कि यहाँ पे बना रहे हो, बन के अभी भी चाइना से आ रहा है.
Because the chips are coming from them.
Not just chips. Not just chips.
The whole damn product.
So, yes, this has been discussed also, and I believe now there's going to be a reworking of this, that the...
Where is the time? Last 10 years we wasted.
See,
I have told you next 10 years
we
there
were
will be
the first
problems.
ones who said why
Is it tea, etc.?
is being used by the BSNL. We said that.
Yeah.
Now again BSNL is going for another product. And I am again saying, it's again exactly what he's saying is going to happen.
White label.
If we don't have control over a government organization, a government corporate, where the stakes are more, तो प्राइवेट वाला तो प्रॉफिट के लिए बैठा है.
So this is a major vulnerability for India.
And this vulnerability, now just on that only, see, now we've also in a way lowered the threshold for war. We have said any act of terror now will be considered an act of war. Now, was that during the war operation, this was just said, or now have we taken a position? Is this beneficial? Is this good for India? What should have been done?
See, firstly, I think that's a good thing. Any act of terror is a subterfuge by another power to target you. So it's an act of war. There is no doubt about it. We have declared it. But we will be careful that we should not be drawn into a war by certain other false flag operation where the political stakes have become so high that you're forced to take a stand. So you have to be careful. So we have pointed out multiple weaknesses in our Indian system, our procurement, our communication, this lack of theaterization, no products in India, the enemy states products totally out there. It doesn't give you a very comfortable picture, right?
Right.
So there you are.
And when you have a Pahalgam-like attack, which we shouldn't shy away from, it was an intelligence failure that happened. What do you do now, sir? I'm recapping everything now, coming back. When something so sinister happens, what does our intel community do to ring fence everything and make sure an attack like this doesn't happen, because it could mean war again?
See, you have to understand, initiative is with that man.
With which man?
The terrorists.
The terrorists, yes.
He takes his own time. Intel, the tech hint is a wonderful thing, but it should not be the prime thing. It should be supportive to the human int. But when your reliability on human int goes down, and because it's a very difficult task to go out in the field, make human sources. You don't even know this guy is going to be a dual, he's going to be a double agent, he's going to be a terrorist who will kill you. Okay? While sitting in an AC room, लगा रखा है, सुन रहे हो. Yes, results are coming. But then, as I showed, there are areas which are beyond tech and coverage. That is where
Boots on the ground are needed.
Look at it. They took the countermeasures. When they enter War 1, they know probably people are compromised in this 40 kilometers. So they have not taken a local. Maxar, when I said first time, people were a little this thing कि ये ज़्यादा बोल रहा है. Then came the Maxar वाले story कि Maxar की images खरीदी गई. I was dead sure that was for them to traverse without the locals coming to know. And I've shown you, it's just 6-7 hours. And we've carried out operations, in fact. I've been into that area. It's one of the most beautiful places on the earth. In fact, it used to be a routine trek thing. A lot of Germans used to come.
See, I'm coming back to that, what he was showing on the map. Why is it that even now we don't have drones or we don't have satellite imagery? If the trees are very, there's thick foliage, why can't we see at the bottom? Why couldn't we spot these terrorists if they are still around? Because everybody is saying, you see, there is one lot which says that India didn't even provide proof and went and attacked Pakistan. Those guys have not been caught. So if your guys haven't been caught, how do you know that it was Pakistani? So the
last
whole
1 year
thing.
Those guys are melting around. 4 बंदों को आप इतने
तो ये कैसे हो सकता है?
40,000 square. See, South Kashmir alone is 5,000 square kilometers. Now look into the jungle area, 40,000 square kilometer, 4 people. It's not that easy. It looks. In fact, जब मच्छी ज़्यादा होती है ना, तो आप जाला डालो पकड़ लोगे. लेकिन जब उतने बड़े समुद्र में मच्छी 3 है, and as it is, I am telling, and I'm really telling this, the local militancy is over. Local support will always be there.
Okay.
But local, आज मिल कहाँ रहे हैं आपको local militant? गिनती के मिल रहे हैं. पाकिस्तान को इन पे भरोसा नहीं है कि ये वो spectacular show कर सकते हैं. And they are now, which army would send their own soldiers inside to carry out terrorist actions? They are sending it because they are realizing now it's a defeating battle for them. We have sustained this insurgency for 30 plus years. उनकी desperation है ये. It's a credit to our security forces. Okay, we did lose. आज आपको 26 दिख रहे हैं, 2007 में कि 6 में 13 नेपाली मार दिए उधर, कहीं आवाज आई? लेबरर्स 15 नेपाली मार दिए। आज पुलवामा का आप बोलते हो कि जी आईडी कर दी, 40 बंदे मर गए। 5 मई 2004 को बीएसएफ की भी बस उड़ी थी बनियाल से नीचे, उसमें 13 फैमिली मेंबर्स थे, बीवी और बच्चे थे लोगों के। किसी ने कुछ बोला तब? See, now people with these systems happening, interactive things are happening, so we can question a lot of things. But they were happening. From there to reach here, where we have pushed Pakistan to a corner, where now they are compelled to use their own, मतलब उनको अपने भी लोकल मिलिटेंट नहीं मिल रहे हैं, क्योंकि जो उनके जो लोकल मिलिटेंट्स, एज ही सेड कि रशिया का जब बाहर निकला तो दी इंसर्जेंसी, दो ट्रेंड पीपल, उनको कहीं तो लगाना था, दे वर कमिंग दिस साइड। अब अफगानिस्तान तो बन गया है जैसा चाहिए था। अब उनकी लड़ाई जो वो वहां से लाके यहाँ डालते थे, वो तो उनसे ही लड़ रहे हैं। टीटीबी भी उनसे लड़ रहा है। यू नेम एवरीबडी हु वाज सपोज्ड टू बी फ्लोटिंग हियर इन द 90s इज नाउ फ्लोटिंग देयर।
And those drug-addled brains and bodies are not fit for combat.
अब जो लोकल
coming
पाकिस्तानी है, यू लुक एट इट, द लोकल पाकिस्तानी मिलिटेंट जो पहले आता, हमने तो सूडान वाला भी मारा है, हमने गुजरात के 2 मारे हैं, आउट ऑफ ऑल प्लेसेस। आई पिक्ड अप
गुजरात पाकिस्तान,
Pakistani Gujarat.
नहीं, हिंदुस्तान गुजरात,
अच्छा
ठीक है। हाँ, मैंने असम का एक बंदा मारा, उसकी डायरी निकली, उसके अंदर असम का लैंडलाइन नंबर था। सो वन ऑफ देम वाज ऑपरेटिंग फ्रॉम देयर, द नंबर वाज विद द कमांडर कि अगर ये मरता है तो उसके घर वालों को बताने के लिए वो नंबर था वहां पे। क्या बात कर रहे हो? वहां से चलते चलते आज वी हैव, you have to give credit to the government, you have to give credit to the security forces, to the local police, कि we have put Pakistan into such a shindy that उनका अपना पाकिस्तानी नहीं आ रहा है,
और उनके इंडिया के रिक्रूट्स नहीं आ रहे, सूडानीज रिक्रूट्स नहीं आ रहे,
अब कोई नहीं आ रहा वर्ल्ड से। अब they are forced to use their own special forces people inside.
यमनी शमनी कोई भी नहीं है।
तो अब जो वो ये चेंज ओवर हुआ है, आप उसको टेक इट पॉजिटिवली। इंटेल फेल तो होगी, कई बार होगी, क्योंकि इनिशिएटिव उसके पास है, ग्राउंड पे वो चल रहा है, उसने वो जगह ढूंढ लिया। एज आई सेड दैट ही इज मूविंग बिटवीन दैट फ्रैक्चर लाइंस। हमारे को दिखता है ना, जब एक डिवीजन के अंदर 3 ब्रिगेड हैं, अब जो लोकल, एक छोटा सा एग्जांपल बताता हूं मैं। वन ऑफ द डेज व्हेन आई एक्चुअली सॉ जनरल वीके सिंह लूज हिज शॉट, ओनली ऑन 2 occasions that 8 years I've been with him, I've seen him lose his shot. Lose his shot means lose his shot. सीओ सैक कर देने, बस उसको ये नहीं बोला कि तू अपना बोरी बिस्तर और घर जा। सो देयर इज दिस ए ब्रिगेड, देन देयर इज अ बी सेक्टर। अब ये जो बॉर्डर एरिया है, उस पे जो गांव है, सबको मालूम है कि यहां से इधर तक आते हैं, इधर वालों को भी मालूम है इधर से कभी कोई नहीं आता, इधर से आते हैं। सो द लोकल्स इन सो मेनी ईयर्स नो कि ये बॉर्डर है। नो 3 जवान्स अंडर कवर फ्रॉम द कंपनी, from X unit of the X sector, went into a civilian village, and they started staying there as terrorists. कहीं पे गांव वालों को समझ में आ गई कि ये टेररिस्ट तो नहीं है। Instead of informing the sector here, क्योंकि उनको मालूम है यहां तक आते हैं, ये भी शातिर हैं, they informed the brigade there.
Why?
They'll go and kill the terrorists, no?
हाँ.
इधर वाले को तो पता है ना कि मेरा बैठा है,
हाँ.
इधर वाले को नहीं पता ना।
हाँ.
अब वो फ्रैक्चर लाइन एरिया है वो,
हाँ.
ठीक है। जनरल वीके इन हिज विजडम saw that fracture line area. He specifically asked the sector and the CO, तुम्हारे बंदे तो नहीं है। CO probably was not kept in picture and he said sir हमारे नहीं है। So para special forces was sent in. Now para special forces had a system, we all कि they went in a covert mode, फिरन विरन लगा के, but the moment they reached there, they removed their firans, they're back into their bulletproofs and into their combat dress, because ये कुछ हम लोगों ने अपने लिए रूल ऑफ एंगेजमेंट बना रखे हैं कि आप सिविल ड्रेस में नहीं मारोगे, ठीक है। वो रूल्स ऑफ एंगेजमेंट है विच आर फाइन, बिकॉज हमने बोला है कि हमारे एक 10 कमांडमेंट्स हैं, हम जब जाएंगे तो हमारा नाम दिखना चाहिए, ये होना चाहिए, मुंह ढका नहीं होना चाहिए, बहुत सारी चीज़ें। अब वो रूल ऑफ एंगेजमेंट में दे वुड गो इन रीच द स्पॉट इन कवर द मोमेंट दे गेट आउट फॉर एन ऑपरेशन दे शो दैट दे आर फौजी. अब वो जब उन्होंने देखा मिलिटेंट आ रहे हैं तो उन्होंने वो घर छोड़ा और अपनी लोकेशन चेंज करी 3 बंदों ने. एंड दे फायर्ड ऑन देम थिंकिंग ये मिलिटेंट्स. वो भी तो वहां बैठे थे ना इंगे कि मिलिटेंट आएगा तो गोली चलाएंगे. वो ग्रीन होने वाला था. इन्होंने जैसे चेंज किया एंड टू कॉम्बैट दे पिक्ड अप वी आर फौजीज. अब आप देखो कितना बड़ा फौपा हो जाता.
Yeah. Oh my God.
कि योर ओन चैप्स किलिंग ईच अदर.
Friendly fire.
Friendly fire. And that day General VK lost his cool. He said, I asked the CEO कि तुम्हारे बंदे तो नहीं है. And the CEO failed saying कि नहीं सर मेरे नहीं है. हो जाता है. बच्चों का इनिशिएटिव ज्यादा रहा होगा कि चलो आज कुछ नहीं कर रहे तो यही खेला है.
So your point being that human is not completely bulletproof.
Human will never be bulletproof.
No intelligence is bulletproof.
Now look at 40,000 square kilometers of an area which is a fracture point between 2 core zones. मैं तो एक छोटी सी आपको 2 यूनिट्स के बीच की बात बता रहा हूँ. ब्रिगेड उसके ऊपर है, यहाँ पे कोर जोन है. एंड एल्टीट्यूड इट इज मैं थक गए यार. वो बोलता रहा सर ओथे ओथे ओथे. हमको क्या मालूम था उसका ओथे जो 6 घंटे की साल. इट टुक अस 24 hours टू क्रॉस ओवर एंड रीच दैट प्लेस. बिकॉज वो ओथे ओथे करता रहा. नो मेंटली
And वो terrain also, oxygen की कमी, सब कुछ.
अब वो मेंटली क्या हो रहा है.
Tough terrain. No?
मेंटली क्या हो रहा है. उसने बोला ओथे. सी यू नो मेंटली कि मेरे को 8 घंटे चलना है. यू आर आपको मेंटली हो रहा है 2 घंटे चलना है. वो वहां पहुंच के बोलता नहीं सर 2 घंटे और. वो बोलता नहीं 2 घंटे और. यू टायर आउट हियर. We literally walked the whole day. We walked the whole night to
And
cross
you're carrying
over.
gear. वो, you know, that too.
To cross over.
Yeah.
We crossed over. और सवेरे सवेरे एक गुजर बकरवाल ढोक के अंदर वो धुंध सी थी. वो एक बुड्ढा बाहर निकला. ही न्यू मिलिटेंट है उधर. उसने जोर से खांस दिया. हा कौन है. Those guys ran. इधर फायर हुआ. अब वो बेचारा उस पाकिस्तानी की दिक्कत, हवलदार की दिक्कत ये थी कि साहब आपने तो गोली मारी नहीं मारी, मेरे अपनों ने मुझ पे गोली मार दी. और वो उसका तीसरा टेन्योर था.
खत्म होने वाला था.
नहीं ये तो बीच में ही था. खत्म होने वाले तो अलग थे.
नहीं मतलब in the sense that 3 tenures and you're back home, right?
हाँ मतलब एक टेन्योर किया 2-3 साल का. उसने
हाँ.
वापस चले गया पाकिस्तान. 1-2 साल रहा फिर आ गया. फिर 2-3 साल काटा फिर वापस चले गया. फिर 2-3 साल काटा फिर चले गया. तो ये इसका तीसरा टेन्योर चल रहा था. मतलब 2 बार वो पहले कश्मीर का टूर दे ड्यूटी करके जा चुका था.
So these people know the terrain. They're experts.
Kalsa, how do you see finally? How do you see when people turn around and say this is intelligence failure? Pahalgam, intelligence failure. Was that a failure in actual terms? Will any attack be seen as a failure?
So finally, like I said, there is nothing called foolproof intelligence. Okay, actually, the way the Indians, we have to grant it to India. It's a miracle. When we were there, like I was just visualizing when you were saying, my neighboring company commander is BSF. I can't communicate with him because his radio sets and my radio sets are different. The SOG police radio sets are different. Okay, and operational areas are all common. Okay, I know the challenges of
वो RR company commander पैरा स्पेशल फोर्स वाले को अपने एरिया में घूमने नहीं दे.
Yeah.
There are so many challenges in which
Overlapping areas
Territorial
also.
also.
Yeah.
It is territorial also.
it is a miracle that we operate in such circumstances and we still manage to do what we do. But having said that, what I learned was, see, in India, there is always a political this to say that, okay, this conflict is getting over now. Okay, we have seen it multiple times before. And when that happens, the thing comes, like I had previously also mentioned here, the Kashmiri police has the best human network used to have.
Oh, yes.
But I am told what happens over time is the police, these guys become corrupt, they start extorting. So someone else will come and say, okay, enough, I want to undo it.
Also, like he said, when locals are not becoming terrorists, so you tend to think कि everything ठीक तो है. And when you're seeing thousands and thousands of tourists coming and, coming from all across the country, say कि you get lulled, I guess, into your own...
The realistic assessment is they have taken 3 decades to convert a substantial portion of the local population into the Islamist ideology. Can it be turned back in 5 years? Can it be turned back? It requires 2-3 generations to, undo the damage too.
Right.
Okay, so we have to be realistic. Now, how do you, and in a war, to fight a war with the law on you is very, very difficult.
This is a big issue.
Yeah.
This is a big issue.
You have operated outside it, so don't tell me this.
No, we all have operated.
We all have, but we were taking risks. Something would have gone wrong. You think the law would have?
Law didn't.
No, they would have said, hang him.
Yeah, and they did.
Yeah. No. So here,
With his entire team.
no,
that is a closed chapter. I think
what we have
moved on
done.
to that now. कब तक
No,
उस चीज़
we
को याद
have
करते
done
रहेंगे?
certain things before the smartphone and the video. Anyone could shoot a video.
Yeah.
Those things cannot. It's much more difficult today.
You see what happened with the Americans. You remember that there was one female guard. She made people do whatnot. वो कुत्ता बना
वो
के
अबू
घुमाया
गरीब
वो-
में।
वो गरीब- That actually, the entire American war that time got
It
defeated because of that one video.
Yeah.
What has happened here in India? In one of these things, लोगों को पीटते हुए वीडियो बन गया है. You see, जितना ये फायदा दे रहा है ना, ये घाटे ज्यादा कर रहा है. Everybody wants to show off. I was there. Let's be happy. We have. When I went to Valley the second time, first time when I went, there were 20,000 trained militants. That time they used to be called militants. Second time I went to Valley, in my Victor force, 5,000 square kilometers, there were more than 600 terrorists. आज आपको 6 ढूंढने मुश्किल पड़ रहे हैं. इनफैक्ट अगर आप ये पहलगाम को आप छोड़ दो, पहलगाम को छोड़ दो, शायद यूपी में और बिहार का वायलेंस लेवल is much more than Kashmir today. Vis-a-vis the number of people there. So we have been, you have to grant, we have been able to contain a lot. We have brought down militancy and we have made a lot of sacrifices for it.
Okay.
You have to grant that. Lots means lots. The first line, J&K police. They have to be there. उनके बीवी हैं, बच्चे हैं, स्कूल जा रहे हैं, बीवी सब्जी खरीद के ला रही है. When I reached initially, my first location was Uri. I knew nothing. एक तो कश्मीरी नहीं पता था तब क्या होता है. मैं 90 की बात कर रहा हूँ. It is the first list that I got of the identified lot was the CID-CIK list. CID-CIK ने तब तक 90 आते तक ये आप 90 को मत देखिए, कश्मीर फाइल से मत ज्वाइन करिए. दिस थिंग स्टार्टेड 86 में, 86 में देयर वाज अ अंसार. 86 में ट्रेनिंग के लिए जा चुके थे. 87 इलेक्शंस ओनली बिकेम अ रीजन दैट लास्ट थिंग कि एनसी ने पैसे खिला दिए. सॉरी, इट इज ऑल ओवर कि एनसी ने टीवी दिए, ये दिए. दैट वाज व्हाट द पीपल यूज्ड टू से. एंड आपका मुस्लिम यूनाइटेड फ्रंट लॉस्ट, जिसके अंदर की जलानी भी था. 4 सीट्स ओनली दे वन. वहां से आप चालू करिए
To 2025.
to 2025.
Paradigm shift.
It's a paradigm shift. People we are talking big about because 26 मारे गए. They were tourists. वो जो 13 लेबर मारी गई, उस टाइम पे क्यों नहीं डिस्कशन हुई है? वो जो 5 अभी डैम पे काम कर रहे थे कि 6 बंदे इन्होंने ही मारे थे, यही सेम ग्रुप है. दिस हैज बीन फ्लोटिंग अराउंड लेफ्ट राइट सेंटर. 5 दिन से ज्यादा नहीं चली कहानी. शायद ये अगर हम लोग पाकिस्तान को अटैक ना करते तो ये 26 की कहानी भी जो है 26 दिन में खत्म थी.
But this was more sinister, sir, because
Agreed.
the people who targeted them clearly बोला मोदी को जाके बताओ
वो ठीक
कि
है
ये
ना.
किया हमने,
नहीं, वो तो खैर मोदी को ना भी बताते तो भी मोदी मरता. वो एक अलग चीज है. ग्रांट मोदी जी for that.
Point.
Yeah.
It's a point we need to talk about also.
And she's talked about the domestic. When the actual war happened and all that you've seen now in the last 3 hours that we've discussed, net, where do you see this was done?
Yeah,
There was-
concluding remarks.
Concluding.
Okay, so I've already said this. Op Sindoor is an outstanding success, not because of any kinetic thing, but where we have crossed a political Rubicon. Okay, single line. That's the biggest success of this. Now it is just the first step, because our nation is, in many ways, we have told you, is not that prepared for the next decade.
we have our blind spots. You're right.
Huge blind spots. And this is going to be, next 10, 20 years is going to be continuous wars. It's a changing global order. Structurally, there will be problems. We are not prepared. The whole of the nation has to prepare. National security has to have a industrial policy. National security, we need much more skills and capacity building to tackle the talents, tackle the challenges ahead.
Yes.
Okay, all this is there, including the media. Okay, because when that actual real war happens, okay, now you look at Ukraine and Russia, two very closely related people, almost like one. Identity is almost same. Who thought in the last 10, 15 years they would be fighting this sort of existential battles? Look at the that cleavage, civilizational, this which will happen because of this war and the people who they have lost. We should not be complicit at all, and that's a nuclear power. Okay, we should not be complicit. We are going to have huge problems on our eastern border. We're going to have huge problems on the western border. And any time when a new global order is set, there will be redrawing of maps. So I can't say it more explicitly than that.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Ajit, and then I will, any concluding remarks? What did you feel at the end of Operation Sindoor? अच्छा हुआ खत्म हुआ कि अभी खत्म नहीं हुआ?
अभी खत्म नहीं हुआ. Jeet's duty still goes on.
Since the government has said that Op Sindoor is still on, but I think 10th, if we had stretched it to one more day, we could have added to the list of bases that were attacked.
As a reporter on the defense beat, there is a level of PTSD for you guys also, isn't it?
I don't know, ma'am.
रात को उठते नहीं हो अभी भी हाँ कुछ हो रहा है.
I'm meeting him after a few months. He looks slightly tired.
Wait.
He's looking tired.
No, but it's not because of PTSD or anything. But I think if you ask my experience, and since Ishanji was also there all through this time, I think the way the stories were coming and
what you were saying, it's similar thing which they've all as young reporters, they were all sleeping in the living room because they've got children and all, right?
Yeah,
उनको
but
जगाना नहीं है.
his stint was for 2.5 years.
हमारा
Ours was for 4 days. But still it was
because all these reporters,
very thrilling.
Yeah, even senior anchors and all that have slept in the studios and things like that.
And since we came out on the right side of the war victory, we achieved the objectives.
As well as a credibility, as a media organization.
And as a media, that is most important, and we were able to maintain that. So that makes me feel very happy.
Okay.
See, Pavi has largely covered the broad spectrum as what India should see. It's going to be a war of overwhelming each other with our technologies now. So that Atmanirbhar, self-creation of capacity, very important. And we need to ensure that if we are making our drones, then they are our drones. Because they can be embedded if we even procure things from outside.
Okay.
So nobody wants war, but if thrust onto us, they should be ready.
They should be ready. Okay, on that note, thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming from different parts of the country and speaking to us on the podcast. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Pleasure is ours.
Thanks. Thank you for watching or listening to this edition of the ANI podcast with Smita Prakash. Do like or subscribe on whichever channel you have seen this or heard this. Namaste. Jai Hind. This episode is powered by easemytrip.com. Click here to watch the previous episodes.